Wasabi Wallet. Unfairly private.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Another great Friday, my favorite part of the week. We are doing Why Are We Bullish, where we just get an awesome panel of Bitcoiners to shoot the shit and talk about why we're bullish. I am sipping on an old fashioned here, and we've got a killer panel. Very excited for this. Welcome everybody. I see you guys piling into the chat already, and as always, of course, this is live. Anything can happen. I defer to my good friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Of course, make sure you smash that like button. Give this a share. There's already over 100 people in here watching live. Let's get even more eyeballs in. As always, I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we bring in our panel, let's take a quick look at where we are in the market right now. We're sitting at $33,914 per coin. A single US cuckbuck will pick you up 2,949 sats. 89.3% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, we had that historic difficulty adjustment recently. We're sitting at 23 sats per byte for the next block. You don't have to pay that. If you're willing to wait 30 minutes or more, 1 sat per byte will do you right now. The mempool cleared earlier today. We're still on track for another downward difficulty adjustment, estimated at 9.5%, coming up around July 17th. So about 8 days out. So we'll see. And that's been pretty consistent in the last little bit. So even cheaper fees coming your way if you're looking to do some lightning channels, if you're looking to move some funds around, do some coin joins, whatever you're doing. Good time to do it. Of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, Bitbuy. If you're in Canada, if you're stacking sats, this is a great and easy way to do it. They've got a dedicated app, easy web interface. They do yearly proof of reserve audits, which is excellent. And after your first $250, they'll give you $20 for free. Check them out. Of course, LEDN.io, you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different things here. For me, if I'm ever in a pinch and I need cash and I don't want to sell my Bitcoin because that is scary and I don't want to have to buy back in at a higher price, plus it's a taxable event, I can get a loan here by dropping Bitcoin in and getting dollars into my bank account within 24 hours. Pay back the dollars, get back the same amount of Bitcoin. Of course, they've got their savings accounts and their B2X offering. Check them out. Links are below. Keystone, I am working on a full tutorial for this, of course, formerly Kobo Vault rebranding. I did an interview with Leishan talking about exactly what went down there. Regardless, I have my hands on the new one. It's pretty badass. I like that they moved the SD slot to the outside and, the same air-gapped goodness to secure your Bitcoin completely offline. So check them out. Of course, I do live on Bitcoin. You can check out Bitrefill to get any gift card that you like for sats via main chain or Lightning Network and earn sats back as you shop. And finally, if you're backing up any important Bitcoin wallet, paper is not the best option. I tend to put everything that's important in steel on the BillFodl, and you can grab this over at privacypros.io. Just kind of gives you peace of mind against water damage, fire, accidentally discarding it because it's a piece of paper. So be sure to check them out. Links are down below. But enough of me rambling. Let's get our panel in here. We've got a killer panel here. We've got Timothy Kim. We've got Shinobi. We've got Steve Barbour. And we've got Brandon Quittem. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Very excited to have you guys here. I'm going to go quick down the line, let you guys introduce yourselves before we get rolling here. So I'll toss it to Tim. Just let people know who you are and what you do.
Hey, thanks for having me. My name's Tim Kim. So my job isn't in the Bitcoin space, unfortunately. I work in the fiat world. I'm a previous vice president, now a semi-retired director at a mid-sized perimeter access control company based out of Los Angeles, California. I say semi-retired because I spend like a crazy amount of time on Twitter, like trolling Elon and the other Dogecoiners and stuff like that. So that's what I do. I'm also an author. I have a book called Words into Cash that was a #1 bestseller in the blogging category on Amazon for 4 weeks.
Nice.
But it's kind of outdated, so don't buy it. I'll
You're really selling yourself there, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 2-3 years. I mean, it's just one of those things where online stuff goes so quick. You know, it's kind of outdated. By the way, I drank a little bit, so I'm feeling a little weird. So just FYI.
We're all drinking. We're gonna be hammered by the end of this.
It's gonna be great. BQ, Quittem already. He was an hour early and smashed a rye. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm glad we're all enjoying a little beverage, except for Steve, who is driving. But maybe you'll join us in one.
Yeah, and it's real quick. As Bitcoin goes, I've learned about it early 2016, but it really took me a while to kind of get it. And even when I kind of got it in 2017, I lost money. I lost quite a bit of money trying to trade it and stuff like that. So, that's kind of how I got into it. But I actually haven't been following Bitcoin Twitter. I've only just found out about Bitcoin Twitter early this year. It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Trial by fire, man. Baptism by fire. It's it's an interesting place. Well, I mean, Bitcoin Twitter welcomes you, unless you say dumb shit, in which case you'll get roasted. But that it is what it is. But let's keep going. Shinobi, let people know who you are, what you do.
I'm a random person from the internet who spends way too much time learning how Bitcoin works. I do a small podcast with a couple buddies, Block Digest, which I swear to God, the schedule is going to stop being chaotic if you're a listener in this week. But I mean, other than that, none of your business. Look at my Scorpion avatar. That's all you're ever going to see.
That's perfect. Awesome. I love it. Quittem. Mr. Brandon Quittem, let people know who you are, what you do.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm just a Bitcoiner trying to form symbiosis with this super organism we call Bitcoin. And I work at Swan on marketing things. And at Swan, we consider education marketing. The more you know, the more you buy, which is pretty fun. And we think it's the best place to buy Bitcoin in the US. Maybe people have disagreements there. At least that's our goal. And in Bitcoin land, I'm most well known for writing an essay called The Mycelium of Money, which essentially explores Bitcoin through the lens of a living organism. I'm pumped to be here. Happy to be back.
Awesome, man. Glad to have you again. And Steve, take it away. Let people know who you are, what you do.
For sure, man. You said that I was the only one not drinking, but man, I've been living in small town Saskatchewan for several years. All we do is you can't drive anywhere without a Pilsner in your hand, man. So you jumped too soon at that, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm just driving back to my place in Calgary, so no, I'm not drinking. And I'm also surprised you invited me on this show, man, because I'm trying to build a reputation for being a perma-bear. And I want to be like the only Bitcoin maximalist perma-bear that's always bearish. So it was weird to be on this "Why Are You So Bullish" show, but I was trying to think of some reasons why I'm going to be bullish. So it was hard, but I'm just joking.
You're like the anti-Matt Odell.
Yeah, he's a little overkill on the bullishness sometimes, just sometimes. I just build Bitcoin mines for a living. I'm trying to grow a small business around that, based in Canada, and that's about it.
Awesome, man. Well, gentlemen, I am very excited to have you all here. Easy show. Anybody that's watching that has never seen this before, we go by the 3 R's. Somebody gives a reason why they're feeling bullish. We all together riff on the reason, and then we rotate to the next person. Very easy. Your reason can be anything. It can be a story. It can be an app. It can be something happening in the market. It could be a warm, fuzzy feeling. I don't give a shit as long as you're talking about something bullish. So I'm going to get us rolling here. I have a reason why I feel bullish. And my reason comes with an accompaniment of something I want to pull up on a page here. But the reason, I guess, kind of encapsulated to a thought is that regular people are now actively rejecting the mainstream narrative around money and the economy, and it shows. And so I just want to show a couple things to kind of back up what I'm talking about. Earlier, what is today? The 9th. So yesterday, CNBC tweeted out an article called, it was called Inflation's Silver Lining, Higher Salaries. And they got just destroyed on Twitter. People quote tweeting them and just, basically saying that this is not the Onion or Babylon Bee. They are serious. A lot of people, they basically making, what was it? Somebody tweeted out, the silver lining of house fires, lower heating costs, things like that. Everybody was making all these jokes about how ridiculous, and not just like Bitcoiners. I'm talking about just regular kind of normies out there on Twitter as well, thinking it was just ridiculous. And to add on to this was the Financial Times article entitled, "Let's all please stop calling dollars fiat money. Currencies are not memes that only have value because governments say they do." And it goes on to basically say, guys, please, that's mean. Don't talk about the dollar that way, is effectively the gist of the article. But people are kind of looking at this, seeing how ridiculous it is, seeing what a ridiculous narrative that, oh, hey, inflation is going up, and maybe I'll make more dollars eventually to keep up with said inflation. How stupid of an argument that is. Or, people coming out saying, please don't call it fiat dollars, even though that's actually what it is. People are just kind of seeing through it and just fully rejecting it. They're given the precedent set over the last, number of decades, but especially the last year and a half, where just trillions are created out of nothing. People understand that something is broken, and they see articles like this and just think, well, what in the hell is that? That's ridiculous. I think we're at a point where there's an all-time high in questioning of mainstream media in the first place, but then to see headlines like this just juxtaposed into the economic backdrop that we're all experiencing is laughable, and people are understanding that. And I think that's bullish for Bitcoin, even if said people don't fully understand Bitcoin yet. They see that the current system is broken. So I'm going to toss it down the line, or actually I'll toss it out to the group of you. If any of you have thoughts on kind of this phenomenon of normies questioning the status quo given where we're sitting. So if anybody wants to chime in, take it away.
Well, when you see now hiring signs at literally every single business you walk into that just stay up for months on end, even the dumbest person kind of has to go, something's happening here. This is not normal.
100%. And I've heard horror stories from a number of business owners about that. Somebody I know in Florida was saying that they have friends that own a restaurant, and they get a ton of applicants. They get resumes in, and then they go to call the people dropping off resumes, and the people say, oh, no. I don't actually want the job. I just have to prove that I'm looking for one in order to get the government check. And the same thing is happening here. Like Canadians especially have been getting paid out the ass, at first from something called CURB, and now just straight employment insurance, EI. But basically, like, if you lost work due to COVID, at this point, you still get paid out as long as you are unable to find work. And so people are just playing the system. And when you think about it, the incentives line up, right? If you're getting plenty to survive and get by, and you can make marginally more by giving up 40 hours per week, who's going to take that deal? Nobody. It's hilarious. But yeah, like people are rejecting the narratives. I don't know. Tim, Brandon, do you have thoughts regarding kind of this rejection of the mainstream narrative of where we are with our economy?
Yeah, I can jump in here. I'm probably not quite as optimistic as you've been on these recent examples being broadly applicable to Normieville. It feels like maybe the very early critical thinkers in society, like maybe one, if we think about society as a sphere, let's say Bitcoiners are on the edge of that sphere, thinking critically, questioning the narrative, maybe just one layer in of Normieville, those folks are. But I would say that the burning hot nucleus of Normieville is still absolutely clueless. But I will say, I think that the state has a tricky challenge here, which is they have to navigate a transition to an entirely new financial system while trying to manage public sentiment and try to convince us that we're going to be happy owning nothing. They're going to try to convince us to eat bugs, convince us to go in the pod. And so I would say they have a really tough challenge ahead of them. And I think that over the long haul, truth will rise to the surface. And in a modern world where information's freely accessible, you can manage propaganda from their angle, which they're quite good at. But at the same time, I think young people are better at the internet than the old folks in charge right now. And so I think people feel like something's wrong. And yeah, I guess eventually I'll be hopefully more optimistic. Just right now, I think we have a long ways to go.
Most people will never understand what's going on. They'll just have the little thing click in their brain like, shit, maybe I should have some Bitcoin instead of dollars because all those people are doing better. And they'll probably never get past that. They're not going to realize the problems and the woes of the world. They're just going to learn just through having it beat them over the head nonstop year after year, that one thing that they can do to get fucked a little less.
How about you, Tim? Do you have do you have a good group of normie friends, and do they have thoughts about where we are? Are they just oblivious? Do they care? Like,
no, it's mostly I mean, most of the people that I hang out with on a day to day outside of my closest friends are just people at work, and they're clueless. It's really weird. They do know though that things are getting expensive. I mean, everybody, I think it's like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? I actually like a week ago, I posted something on Instagram and Snapchat about like a place I was here nearby. It was for a waiter position, and it was like something like $15 to $45 an hour. I mean, like, that's insane. I mean, when did it jump to that extent? You know what I mean? Like, it blows my mind. I don't know. Is the government forcing up wages, right? When you're forced to compete against free money for nothing, you can't have like minimum wage. You have to effectively, whatever the government's shelling out, you got to add. I've got to imagine at least 25%, maybe 50%, maybe I don't know what would get me out the door if I could basically live for free and do anything that I wanted with all of my time. What changes your mentality when you're in a position? You'd have to pay actually substantially more than what you could get for free. You can't just get paid the same amount. Even at my company, we have like currently the past, I don't know, like year or so, we had about 50% turnover. I mean, just people, it's just too easy to get free money. So I'm feeling really nervous about where we're heading. So Kathy was saying something like deflation, but I don't know. I don't buy it. I'm very nervous, especially here in California. You can't find anybody willing to work. You'd have to pay them $100,000. That'd be very basic. I mean,
what's the end game here? Because when you think about it, okay, so businesses want to run, they need people working for them in order to actually function. They're basically going to have to raise wages to get anybody in the door if they're competing with free government money. and then they're going to have to raise prices in order to cover said employees. But then all of the people that were living on the government dollar at a certain level then experience the inflation of prices of things that they could previously afford. And then what? Does the government up the money to give them a living wage even though they're not working? Do those people then go seek out those jobs? Like, what's the end game here? Where do we go?
The only end game is UBI on a mass scale consistently for everyone. Right? That's the only outcome here. Everything reinforces itself leading to that end game. And after that, I don't know. It could take a very dystopian turn. It might work in the short term, right? People last year in 2020, they felt more wealthy because they were getting stimulus checks, they were staying home. So there's this like honeymoon period where people think everything is okay. But eventually it undermines itself. And that's when I don't know what's going to happen. But thankfully we have Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's, I mean, at one point or another, shit's got to hit the fan, right? You can't just go on with free money forever unless people making stuff and have everything just remain at equilibrium. So I guess time will tell. But I did enjoy the conversation around this topic. I'm going to keep us rolling into the next. Everybody that's in here, of course, everybody that's in the chat watching live, smash the like button, give this a share. Let's get some more eyeballs in here. We got like 220 people watching live. So thank you all for being here. And keep those comments coming in because I will continue to bring them up like this. Truth will level the nonsense from Randall. Thanks for that, man. And apparently Jim Cramer's talking about Tether. That's fun. Fuck you, Jim. Anyways, we're going to keep rolling here. And Steve has made it into his home. We'll see if his camera comes on here. Oh, there he is. Oh, man. Looking good. You're so the camera angle, you're already tall enough as it is, and then you get this camera angle pointing up. And you're like 7 foot
I wouldn't.
tall.
I just don't want to show you the freaking mess on my floor right now. So. All right, you want to see it? We're doing some renos. I got shit all over the place here.
Oh yeah,
so it's
there
embarrassing.
You go.
I got to tilt it up.
Awesome. Well, we just wrapped our first topic. We're going to jump onto our second, and I'm going to toss it over to Tim. And Tim, man, what has you feeling bullish this week?
Oh man, it's insane. I feel like there's so much bullish news out there. It was really hard for me to pick one, so I just felt like I just needed to pick something that's just more kind of like fundamental. And my reason for feeling bullish. You guys hear me, by the way?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Is this 50% plus crash that we had? It sounds insane, but I have
price or hash rate.
Yes,
price,
very bullish.
price. Oh, that's a good point. But price.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
I thought
both. But and here's why. I have 4 reasons. Okay. So one is these major pullbacks are what bring in new users onto the network. So I saw something from William Clemente III yesterday, I believe. He is the third, right? I think
he is the third of the William Clementes.
Yeah, I saw something from Pomp, and it was William, and he said something like Bitcoin hit an all-time high in new users coming onto the network. So I feel like these major pullbacks are what bring in a big portion of the population. So like retail, normies, institutions, hedge funds. And I think that there are basically, again, very generalized, but there are 2 types of people who end up buying Bitcoin. There's a certain portion of the population that's very like YOLO, and they get enticed when prices are constantly going up. They're kind of like the more gambling types. And then there's the more conservative portion of the population, which do the opposite. The higher it goes, the less likely they will buy. So when prices tank, it gives them an opportunity to feel good about buying in at a discount from recent prices. So and I think the number one thing, I don't know about you guys, but the number one thing I most often hear from normies when I ask them why they haven't bought any Bitcoin yet is they say that they're too late. They always say, "Oh, I'm too late. I should have bought it in when it was $1." So this latter group of people usually fits that bill. So I feel like, again, this is a really good opportunity for people of the latter group to come in and buy. So that's number one. I have 3 more reasons. Oh man, this whiskey. Am I talking? I feel like I'm talking.
I'm
Oh
so
my-
happy you're a part of this show right now.
Dude, I am like,
Okay, I got to go catch up, don't I?
I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
saying.
man,
I feel
get
like I'm
something.
talking, but it's like it's
I'll be
slurring.
right
But number 2 is I think Preston Pish said this. I love Preston Pish, but he said that massive volatility is programmed into Bitcoin, and it's what helps it get more entrenchment into the financial system and allows it to eventually become the global reserve settlement money. So like basically what that means is if NGU, right, like number goes up, right, happens too quickly without the proper like ebb and flow of frequent pullbacks, I mean, it kind of gives an incentive for governments to try to attempt to shut it down. So if it happens slow enough and volatile enough, it will let it gain deep entrenchment, right? So I think, again, kind of we talked about a little bit about the whole recent miner exodus from China. I think it's a fantastic thing, but China hasn't done a 51% attack on the network, so I think it just goes to show how deeply entrenched Bitcoin is. And that makes me super bullish, and I think personally, we've passed the tipping point. This massive volatility is what kind of allows Bitcoin, I mean, to gain entrenchment by kind of like slow boiling the frog. And I actually think that Bitcoin already won. So I'm super, super, super bullish. Number 3.
Wait, I just want to comment on one thing. I totally agree with you talking about how the volatility gives a false sense of security for nation states. I think kind of some of those major pullbacks and like longer bear markets that we've experienced in the past few halving cycles have basically temporarily taken the heat off Bitcoin and given a few years of them being like, it's probably not something we need to worry about legislating and everything. Like, I think in the past that has bought us time. I'm unsure. I kind of feel like maybe now that we've passed, like, even though we're not currently, we passed that $1 trillion market cap. I think that got a lot of eyeballs, and people are looking in positions of power, maybe saying, "Oh shit, what do we need to do now?" But I do think that cycle definitely bought us that first decade of like basically unabated tearing down the system before the system noticed.
I'm going to kind
Agreed.
of dissent from the group here a little bit and say that if you go back into like 2013, 14, 15 and look at the types of analysis coming out of think tanks and intelligence working groups and things like that, you would find an amazing level of awareness versus the idiots banging gavels in Congress.
Really?
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's a mistake to underestimate like what like the state can do. Like if they really wanted to, I think they're well aware that they could go to a 51%, and it would actually still be quite easy for them to do that. So I don't know. It's maybe that's not actually the risk.
Let's put a tinfoil hat on, Steve. I think you and me are going to be bearish friends now. Why are all these nuclear power plants being shut down for no good reason right now all over the place? Think about it. Think about it.
Think about it. I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at.
Well, you need a lot of electricity to do something like attack the Bitcoin network. Think about it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the state is slowly amassing a massive amount of power. Is that what you're thinking?
I mean, why not? Why do we have to be bullish, guys? Huh?
Shinobi, for that to be true, the state would have to acknowledge that Bitcoin is a credible threat. Do you think that whatever we want to define as a state, do you think that they actually acknowledge that? My sense is that they're still quite arrogant, as if Bitcoin is not credible at this point.
Oh no,
I think they might. I think that might be the case. But even if they, I give them more credit. I think that like the central banking, the real, the true state, I think they do know it's a threat, and they do want to figure out what they can do. But is censoring Bitcoin through like a 51% attack the most effective way? I'm more along the lines of, I think that these people that are benefiting from fiat more than anyone else, like the ones closest to the central banking spigot, they're just like us. They want to profit, so they're going to be more inclined to, and they certainly want to protect their own interests, which is their interest in fiat. But I think we're going to see more along the lines of what we're seeing right now in China, which is like sort of kicking people out, but also like taxing, permitting, licensing. They're going after mining pools next. I think even in North America, you're going to see some major problems with surveillance regulation and that kind of thing on mining pools. But I also don't want to go way off on a tangent, because I know Tim here has got more bullish things to say, but I'm catching up to you. I got the rye. Okay, I wanted to feel included. That's some Crown Royal rye there.
There you go.
I just got some Jack Daniels, bro.
All right, I'm gonna catch up to you, and this is gonna get weird.
I got two more reasons why I feel like the 50% plus crash is actually a bullish thing. So oh man, dude, holy smokes!
Have another sip.
My world. Okay, FYI, Koreans are allergic to alcohol, because we can't metabolize it properly. So I usually can't only drink one bottle of beer, but I'm drinking Jack Daniels like
cheap drunk,
like
man.
a proper proper American. Because I immigrated here in 2004, by the way, from Hungary. My parents are missionaries. Really? Yeah. My parents are missionaries. They're still there. Wow. They have a homeless ministry. They have a they used to be with what is it? Campus Crusade for Christ, but they're not there with them anymore. But they have a homeless ministry, so props to them. I have huge respect for them, but they're still there. I came here in 2004. I immigrated here with $500 in my pocket. But anyways, enough about me, man. Number 3. So I feel like these corrections are what help extend the bull market. You guys may disagree with me, but like I feel like these parabolic move ups portion of the cycles are post halving happen with these pullbacks. So it starts with these pullbacks, these corrections that purge the weak hands, right, and transfers Bitcoin to stronger hands. And Willy Woo, I know all of you guys follow him. He calls it Rick Astley's, right? That will never give you up. I know they recently kind of gave us up a little bit, but a substantial portion of these hodlers in Bitcoin have super duper strong hands. So every day, every week, every month that goes by, these strong hand hodlers, right? They acquire more fiat in their fiat jobs, like I do, right? And they'll continue to scoop up these coins and lock them up forever, never to be seen. So I feel like it's inevitable, 100% inevitable, that there will come a day when all the Bitcoin sitting on exchanges will be taken off the table and taken into deep, cold storage. And at that point, you're going to have billionaires and nation states that's going to be fighting over the scraps. And granted, yeah, you're going to have these, if you look at like Will Clemente's like posts and the comments, yeah, a lot of these people are going to be coming on and they're going to be putting back Bitcoin onto exchange to be sold for profit. But there's going to be a tipping point, right? It'll hit this vertical part of the S curve. And it's going to be like, we're going to have a day, right, when it's going to be 20 or 30 maybe even like 100K gap up in price in Bitcoin in relative relatively a short time in
it'll be
time
100K. It'll be 100K daily volatility, man. That's
exactly.
where we're going. That's the most bullish thing I'll say in this podcast.
100%.
I love that, Steve.
Dude,
Did I just get bearish Steve to say that?
Dude, you're way more bullish.
It's called the top.
How are you more bullish than Minnesota? That Minnesota bear guy, dude.
I think so. I mean,
I'm truly a bull. I'm truly a bull.
Yeah.
But.
Okay.
When you get like down the road, when you get sat cent parity, when one sat goes from 1 cent to 2 cents, like that's when you get those. At that point, does comparing to dollars even matter? Like, because I've got to imagine if we're at sat cent parity at some point down the road, that it's a good portion of that is the lack of purchasing power from the dollar and the amount of printing that they've done, as opposed to not entirely. Like, yes, the purchasing of power of Bitcoin will continue to grow, but at what point is it equally to blame between the growing asset that is Bitcoin and the depreciating asset that is US dollars, right? Like at what point do you place more blame on one than the other?
It's going to get weird when the world reserve currency starts hyperinflating. Like, how do you, like, people will seek a new basis for, unit of account. And I guess that'll be Bitcoin. Like, I mean, what else could it be? And even Bitcoin's still going to be volatile at that time. If you price it in anything, whether it's priced in dollars are too volatile themselves to price anything in. I don't know. I guess Bitcoin has to be, because obviously Bitcoin will be the soundest money. I also have a theory that gold is going to make a big return, and maybe things will for a while be priced in gold, but no one agrees with me on that.
Oh my God, Steve, I need to introduce you to somebody after this show, because as obnoxious as I'll find it, I think I have a new best friend for you.
Okay, cool, man. My theory is that as things get really weird and hairy with fiat, they're going to retreat back to what they still control, which is gold. They're not going to go to Bitcoin. The whole idea that states will go to Bitcoin. I know El Salvador is something different. I know that's something different, but the idea that like the elite states of the world, the U.S., are going to be like Bitcoin standard, I don't see it. I think they're first going to retreat to what they had before, which is we control all the gold-based money, precious-based metals-based money. It's not going to help them, but that's what they'll retreat to. That's sort of what I'm expecting.
What about central bank digital currencies? Wouldn't they just use that instead? Kind of is the same thing. They control placement.
I feel like that's an
interim.
That's an interim. That's like, hey, this is different.
I think that's true, Brandon.
Like that, it's like think about it like this. That allows you to just leapfrog all the kinds of shit that we're doing in Bitcoin right now, trying to push this into the third world to fill in infrastructure gaps. Yeah. They leapfrog that. They take that infrastructure gap. And then on top of that, you now get to directly export your economic policy to the rest of the world, not the indirect games we play to do so. Like straight up, the people using that money now are your little play toy.
You're right. I think like the central bank currencies they're going to really push it hard now that Bitcoin is a threat, and I really think they see it as a big threat. And I agree with you completely. I think they're going to say, okay, well, let's get rid of Bitcoin's use cases to all the unbanked. We're going to bank them with CBDCs or whatever. But that doesn't fix the unsoundness of their shit coins. So that's why I think they're going to have no choice but to retreat and say, even though it'll be a cluster, they'll probably back those CBDCs by precious metals, because who controls all the precious metals? The fucking central banks do. They're not going to fucking back it with. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but I already had one. You
can fucking say whatever you goddamn well want.
So I think it might be a stupid theory, but I think they're going to retreat to precious metals, and honestly, that will be a good move for them, because if they can maintain control by having a sounder money, I think Bitcoin's going to force them to compete. They're never going to adopt Bitcoin. It's just going to kill them. It's going to destroy banking or central banking. So they'll go with the next best thing, I think.
I think you're all right. I think it's just on a It's on a timeline. I think that CBDCs get introduced first as like a, hey, it's digital, like to fill in the infrastructure gap, or to seem new and relevant, because some, like most normies, still think that the innovation is that Bitcoin is digital, right? Like that's the basics of it. Is people are like, oh yeah, it's digital money, and that, like, they don't look beyond that. That's why you get idiots piling into XRP.
Their
right?
marketing campaign that'll back this CBDC will be unreal. Like they're going to be like, oh, it's bringing equality to all the, impoverished nations. It's going to be the biggest thing. They're going to put the most insane marketing thing, and it won't be that fat ass Augustus Carson's being the front man of it either.
And so like I see that, but then I see, okay, that then people, like, when the digitization of dollars all of a sudden isn't fixing the problem, when people are like, oh fuck, the money still sucks, then yeah, Steve, I think you're right, where they retreat to some sort of a quasi, like, partially backed gold type backed currency, because again, they still control that because of the abstraction, right? Because of the layered approach that is not explicitly actually pegged, where that peg can be broken, because they think, well, we can say it's backed by this, and then actually it's really not, because we've done that in the past. Actually, I'm gonna give this a plug, because I'm reading this right now and it's fucking awesome. There's this book called The Seventh Property by Eric Yakes. Eric Yakes? Yes, Yakes. Anyways, I met him at Bitcoin 2021. I started reading his book. I'm about like 2/3 of the way through. Anyways, he goes through the history of, like, not just, okay, when we went off the gold standard entirely in 71, but he goes through the, like, quasi gold and bimetallism standards that we went through history, and like all of the breaks of those pegs and returns to those pegs. I think we're sitting at one of those now where we're going to see some more of that bullshit played, but Bitcoin is literally the fix to the peg issue, where you don't actually have to go away from the currency to get that assurance that is backed 1-to-1 for what you're actually spending. So I think you're going to see a lot of that hocus pocus bullshit of, oh, we've got digital currency now, so we saved it, we fixed it. Oh, wait, it's not backed by shit. Oh, now it's backed by something. And then the next domino is people then realizing this didn't work, and now the peg that they said was there is not working. And I think the only reason that we get to see all of that in such a short time is because we get to see the thing that fixes all of that side by side with it, as they try to iterate through all of the bullshit that's broken.
Bitcoin is going to be the thing that calls bullshit on that. The more liquid Bitcoin gets, the more it will call bullshit on manipulated exchange rates. And there is just absolutely no way around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think we just, Tim, did you have anything to add? Because
he's only a number 2. I think he's got 2 more.
Yeah. Guys, I didn't get any of what you guys are talking about. I mean, to be honest, okay. I mean, like, for real. Like, I'm not joking. I don't drink almost ever, but when I go to places and I drink, I have one bottle of beer, right? That killed. I'm 220 pounds, bro.
Dude, are you drinking American beer? Because that's just like
no. I have just Jack Daniels, bro.
No, not right now. I'm talking about like normally, because I'm in Canada, and that, like, the shit down in the States is like 3.5%, 4%. We're like 5 or 6.
No, right. I have 3.
That watered down bullshit. Man.
No. But I have watered down fiat beer, and I'm 220 pounds, right? And it still kills me, but I'm on you guys' American, like, Jack Daniels Tennessee whiskey, right?
I like,
dude.
Tim, the comments are blowing up, telling you to stop drinking water. I think they're being a bad influence here.
I feel like wait a minute.
You really might as well go all in at this point.
Dude, there's no way I can get more all in at this point. There's
no backing off. Now.
The Bible says not to be drunk, but I'm pretty drunk right now.
I'm
All right,
bullish
well,
on
cheers,
Tim.
guys.
Yeah, cheers. Cheers.
Yeah,
Let's-
absolutely.
Yeah, cheers.
I'm bullish on Tim being asleep by like 9 p.m.
No, oh
So-
my gosh, dude. My wife is gonna kill me. But did I say the number fourth reason? I think the number fourth reason. I didn't think I said it yet. Okay,
No.
right. Okay, the number
Let's-
fourth
take
reason.
it.
Is that even right? Okay, English is my
Let's-
third
yeah.
language, right?
We're gonna go
I-
for it, man.
Hungarian is my second language. Korean is my first language. So Hungarians, there's surprisingly a lot of Hungarians, by the way, in Bitcoin. So jó napot kívánok, Timoteus vagyok.
I hope it's
Hi.
Hungarian.
So yeah, Hungarians. I love my fellow Hungarians. So number 4, right? This is I feel like this recent the wave of selling, right, and reaccumulation has reset cost bases. If you guys know in America, how the taxes work, right? So basically, I feel like a lot of this recent wave of selling has reset cost bases for a lot of, and it gives us kind of like a stronger floor at today's prices. So a lot of people, including institutions, right, and hedge funds, are up 3 times since September. That's crazy. It's like 6 months ago. So it's like it was 10K per Bitcoin. And so the recent selling from whales were to, in my opinion, okay, not financial advice, but it was to lock in profits. So this has me super duper bullish, because what this means is that selling pressure will be significantly lower going forward. And so
Hangover has entered the chat.
They sell and they buy back in, and they reset their cost basis. So there's no incentive for these people to sell, right? For these institutions and hedge funds to sell. So just emotionally, wait, did I say the same? Emotionally and mentally, it's far easier. It's far easier to sell when you bought at $10,000 back in September, okay, and you're already 3x up in a period of less than 6 months. It's harder to sell when you just bought in at the 30 to 40K range. So all of this reaccumulation that has been done at recent prices, I feel like it's giving a stronger floor for Bitcoin to move up from. So I feel like we're just at this precipice, right, to just freaking parabolically move up. Oh my god! Am I making any sense?
Tim is me at every party when I'm with friends.
Oh man,
I agree.
I agree with, I think, the original argument that these pullbacks, instead of the parabolic moves, distribute coins better and more widely instead of concentrating them. And I think that is absolutely bullish as hell on a fundamental level, instead of just what idiots wound up with what could tank the market.
Everybody's got to sell some Bitcoin from time to time. Like, you know, if you've been holding for years and years and years, why not sell a few coins 100%. And get something you've wanted your whole life? Like, it seems completely natural to me. Completely natural. I don't understand why every time there's a pullback, everyone's pointing to like, oh, look what Elon did. Elon didn't fucking do that.
Dude,
people needed to go enjoy their lives. Like there's hodlers sitting on massive stacks that took like 2% of their stack, liquidated it. Now they're on a fucking yacht or somewhere, right? Like that's all it takes.
We just have to pay bills and shit, dude. I've been all in for years. I sell Bitcoin every month. It's either that or figure out a way to generate.
I am the same way. I put everything I had into my business, and we mine coins. We sell shit for coins, and I have to sell coins, or I can't do business. Like we have to sell coins, right?
I think it's just part of the reality of if you're fully in Bitcoin. Like for instance, I get paid in Bitcoin. The vast majority of my earnings are in Bitcoin. Yeah. And I tend to, it's funny. I know not everybody here ascribes to the like 4-year cycles, but I kind of do. Like I think that at least in the early days of Bitcoin, and I think partially moving forward, at least, maybe for another like couple of halving cycles, we're still going to see that, okay, supply gets cut. There's a little pinch in the supply that's coming onto the market that used to be bought up normally. Well, that supply is not there. And you see kind of these like overshoots of correcting for that. And so I've started almost living my life in Bitcoin epochs where I'm like, okay, well, I'm living on Bitcoin. That's my income. That already kind of gives me that low time preference of like, do I actually need to sell these coins for this? Like, am I making good purchases that will last me a long time? Am I spending my money in a way that actually benefits my life versus just like trinkety trash I'm going to throw out? But beyond that, I also approach it from a standpoint of like, okay, we just went through a bear market and it was a couple of years and I was like trying to pinch pennies and make sure I could stack as much as possible and like push off expenses. And then all of a sudden we blast through previous all-time highs. We go to double, for now temporarily triple previous all-time high. And then you're looking and you're like, okay, well, what things would actually substantially improve my life over the course of assuming that kind of cycle repeats, what would actually improve my life that I'm willing to kind of trade off? I know that it'll be difficult, if not impossible, to gain back all of the Bitcoin spent on something that's expensive. But you kind of look and you're like, well, for me last time, it was like, well, I'm having a family. My daughter wasn't born at the start of the last Bitcoin epoch, right? And as the bull run started to pick up, that's when, me and my wife had my daughter. And so we're looking and we're like,
and babies are expensive.
Yeah, babies are expensive. And I lived in it.
So I was just gonna say, when the price is good, you're like, well, it's not a bad time to liquidate some and get that nice stroller, and all that stuff you need.
Well, and the big thing that I was looking at is I lived in an area that I would not have been super comfortable with my daughter going to school there. Like it wasn't a good area where I was comfortable with and I taught in schools for like a decade and I knew what kind of schools were in the area that I was at. And I was like, I don't want her to be here. I don't want her to live in that kind of a situation or get that kind of quality of an education. And so I made the call of like, hey, like full on the amount of Bitcoin I had in 2017, I will never reattain that. But
you set your daughter up in a good area, in a good environment, which is a million times more important than those coins.
And exactly. And so that's the trade-off that Bitcoiners will always make. If you believe in Bitcoin, that your coins are going to be worth more in the future. It's how substantially can you improve the life of yourself and your family in those trade-offs moving forward. And so now I'm like, we're all much happier. We're in the home that we're going to live in for probably decades.
I think that people that spend some Bitcoin are happier than the people that just go mad, hodling. Like, I know everyone likes to stack sats. I do too, but you got to spend some from time to time and enjoy the life that you have, man. Especially the sat. Like, I hate the idea of like, there's guys out there that have hodled, like really got into that meme, hodled everything, never spent a sat, and you get hit by a bus. Like, it's like, yeah, that sucks. Like, shit happens in life. So I've always hated the idea of just like, because people demonize people that spend Bitcoin. I know it's mostly just a meme, right? Like, it's a joke, but like come on, like spending some Bitcoin is a good thing, and it's good for the Bitcoin network. So, so I like to be like, dude, good for you.
Some are gonna sell Bitcoin, bro. I mean, at some point you gotta sell Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
It's either hodl or die hodling. You don't want to die.
Half of my Bitcoin, my wife, it's so hard to help like let her know, like, okay, this is my seed phrase. This is how you get Bitcoin.
You
just bury it and draw a treasure map, man.
It's so hard for them to understand, right? But then half of the other Bitcoin, it's like, bro, like like it's gonna permanently be huddled by me. If I die,
Well-
shoot this.
Yeah, perma hodl when you die with the
perma hodl, bro.
I think there's going to be a lot of perma hodling, like when.
Well, I mean, it gets to the point where you
100%.
just spend it, right? Like it's instead of like conversion to dollars, it's just you purchase things and you just have a different time preference around what you're purchasing, right? Like again, you evaluate, okay, well, is moving, like for myself, is moving to a new area and owning my home. And I know that like some Bitcoiners aren't big on home ownership, but also at the time it was actually not a bad idea for me. But
and sometimes the wife gives you no choice. Like
well,
I wanted to rent, the wife wouldn't let me. So.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? You know what I experienced is I was like, hey, you know, we're talking about like things that could happen in the coming years, and she was like, you know, like if we've already signed like you know, our mortgage like for a 5-year period and like this rate is the same, then like why put like a big lump sum on the mortgage when it's at a set rate and we have exactly the same amount of cash and you're going to be penalized beyond a certain point? Why not just hold the Bitcoin? And I don't think I've ever been more proud of my wife. She's like, well, you got to hodl that shit, right? Like, that's how I know, like through osmosis, she's become a Bitcoiner. It's great.
Beautiful. Love to hear it.
I think an interesting analysis here, I'll let you take in just a second, Ben, but interesting analysis would be, do you see a uptick in babies during bull markets? Right, as the Bitcoin ethos gets bigger, it seems like, I mean, it's natural, right? When you feel like resources are
when you
flush,
feel optimistic. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
that's a
do
good.
you guys have kids? By the way,
that's a really interesting.
I have 2 kids.
2.
I got 1 on the way.
It's funny, Brent.
Man.
It ain't easy, bro.
Brandon, it's funny that you say the timing. Because like I was offset. For me, my first kid, it was like prior, like we found out my wife was pregnant when we got back from our honeymoon. We backpacked for like 5 months and literally came home with next to nothing. And within 24 hours of being home, we found out she was pregnant. We're like, holy shit. And then, but that was in December of 2016. And then the bull run kicked off and we're like as it got closer, we're like, hey, we're gonna be okay.
Thank you, Satoshi. I like that. That's a good thought, man. Because like, I'm not into the big 4-year cycle, but like, if the 4-year cycle thing is real, like if it keeps up, you're gonna see that, man. You're gonna see like booms every 4 years, like baby booms. It's just gonna become a bigger and bigger thing as like Bitcoiners become like more spread out. That's awesome. I never really thought about that.
Think about it like a chart. It oscillates. It's like small baby booms, and then next cycle bigger, next cycle bigger.
And meanwhile, all the fiat maxis, their babies are just dropping off a cliff because they're just constantly impoverished.
Bitcoin is
the Bitcoin maxis are just like
for smart people.
Yeah, it's the opposite of
right.
idiocracy. It's literally the inverse of idiocracy. It encourages reproduction because of the people that understand the implications for society. And then the fiat bros, like I feel like the movie Idiocracy is just the people living outside of the citadels. That's all it is.
Yeah. Oh my God. They're going to have less babies. They're just going to all die off. The fiat maxis are going to die off. That's amazing.
Meanwhile, all the Bitcoiners are like, as the halving is happening, they're all smashing guts, just pumping out kids.
Because it could take a while before, like, you know, fiat utterly collapses. We might see these statistics and like just Bitcoin maxi population starts exploding, like baby booming every 4 years, just annihilating the fiat maxi, like just buying up all the homes, putting them out of business. Man.
Oh yeah,
it's some deep shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'll have another drink.
We're gonna keep it rolling because we spent a lot of time on the tangents that Tim's rant led us down. And so I'm going to defer now. By the way, everybody here, smash that like button, give this a share, so on and so forth. We're all having beverages, especially Tim. So feel free to join us and let us know what you're drinking in the chat. But we're going to pass it on down the line. Shinobi, dude, I'm sorry for the delay. What has you bullish?
Dude, just honestly, despite what a lot of people who follow me might think, given the commentary I make on Twitter around this topic, the shit happening in El Salvador and the little ripples I see, like spreading out to places like Paraguay, like Tonga, Panama. Like I feel like we are witnessing the genesis of something OGs like Beauty on have called out for like most of the last decade. It's going to be real fucking fun when Bitcoin just butts the corresponding banking network out of the way, tackles Swift, gets up and keeps sprinting towards the goal line. Like, fuck you! We don't need you anymore because
there's a lot of skeptics of that El Salvador stuff, but it's just another slap to the face, like waking people up that this thing is getting real. Like,
it's just the infrastructure. Like if you have a liquidity pool in your country that will fuck with Bitcoin, like they will accept Bitcoin, they will trade off for Bitcoin, they have means to hedge against the volatility and so on, then the Bitcoin network just became the only like settlement layer between other jurisdictions and other entities that you need. End of story. Like you don't need fucking Swift anymore. You don't need correspondent banking relationships. You don't need any of this bullshit as long as you have liquidity in your country that will go back and forth between Bitcoin all day and optimize that and hedge that to generate some kind of yield off of it, because Bitcoin rails can do that. And it doesn't matter whether it's Lightning, it's the main chain, it's a side chain, some newfangled thing that hasn't been invented today. It doesn't fucking matter. If that liquidity is there in your country and the interest is there, goodbye Swift, goodbye correspondent banking infrastructure. And like I could give two shits what the price does. Like we could be in a bear market for the next 4 years right now and I won't give a shit because this isn't going to stop. Like this infrastructure is going to keep getting built out. People are going to keep looking at this. Like I've spent like the last couple weeks a decent amount talking to Lord Fusitua from Tonga in a lot of spaces. That motherfucker knows exactly what is going on in the world and what the problems are. And he is looking at it as a way to solve, like Bitcoin, a way to solve problems for his people. And not in a way to line the pockets of the government, not in a way to make some new centralized thing that can be controlled, but actually like benefit the people. And this shit's not going to stop. So like seriously, 60K, let's call that the fucking top for this market cycle. Who gives a flying fuck? Because the rails and the infrastructure to actually make material things happen in the real world for real fucking people, that snowball's going down the hill. I give two shits where this
constantly going. It's constantly moving forward down the hill.
See, this is what I loved about seeing people at Bitcoin 2021 is because nobody gave a fuck about the price. Everybody's talking about shit like this. Everybody was like, and this is kind of the beauty of bear markets too. When you're in a bear market, like the Bitcoiners that are sticking around, which are the actual Bitcoiners, are the ones that are you know, head down, like focusing on the important shit that's actually being built. And the swell that's kind of coming. It doesn't matter that it's not right here, right now, and that NGU is not currently happening. It matters that people are benefiting from Bitcoin itself, regardless of the current price. And that was refreshing because, you know, when I was at Bitcoin 2019, it was very, we were literally speaking of Matt Odell and the antithesis to Steve here, but Matt Odell was drunk on a rooftop doing a TFTC rip, and
I listened to
literally,
that. Yeah.
oh yeah, and he literally podcasted the local top when he was telling everybody to market buy. And so
Dude, I mean, I'm not
That's
going to
bound to
say
happen.
anything. When I was down there, let's just say, long Bitcoin was something told to me, and I love the shit out of the person who told me that. I respect them more than anyone in this space, but I totally didn't do that because it's just like, and yeah, that pump did not happen.
yeah, I mean, like, I will say, in Matt Odell's offense, he's always bullish, so he's always going to call the local top. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's pretty much how it goes. But like, again, I love the sentiment that Shinobi's kind of zeroing in on here is the importance of what this is actually doing for places like El Salvador. Like, I did a video recently on kind of what Jack built with, and yes, it's like a KYC thing, but like, I did it from the perspective of somebody without a bank account. So as somebody in El Salvador would see it, and it fucking works. Like, anybody can, if you're a merchant, you can then accept whatever the fuck you want. You can stay in dollars, or you can seamlessly send out to your own like self-custody Bitcoin Lightning wallet, or your own self-custody Bitcoin on-chain wallet seamlessly without having to do anything. And so, like, doing a side-by-side between like Strike and something like Moon Wallet, where it's just a single balance and it works with regular Bitcoin addresses and Lightning, all of a sudden it's just like, whatever you want, Bitcoin is working for you, because you're receiving easy transactions from anywhere in the world instantly. You're able, if you're not on the Bitcoin train, it doesn't fucking matter, because you can still use Bitcoin and hold your cuck bucks and you're fine. Like,
So
and
Strike has an element of custodialship, or is it just KYC?
it
It's a
is
custodial. It's fully custodial.
It's custodial.
But
I feel like, I
right,
think
though.
that's, yeah. And I mean, I just find, like, you know how it is, like, especially on like Bitcoin Twitter and Bitcoin Maxi Twitter, people just bash custodial options. But man, like, custodial options have done so much good for Bitcoin, as much as, they burn people and will continue to burn people. Like, mining scaled through custodial options, which is mining pools. Like, people just trash custodial anything so much, but like, we wouldn't be where we're at today with all these things that are purely trusted custodial, layering. But it's that to me is a fundamental part of scaling Bitcoin. As long as we have the option, people just need the option. You need the option for non-custodial. You just need the option when you need it. Like layer 2 Lightning non-custodial, you need that when you need it. You don't always need it, but when you need it, it's there for you, right? Like, that's why it's important.
It's a check on the system, right? It's a check on the system. As long as you have the option, it's like, as long as it's easy to run a node, not every fucking person is going to run a node, and that's okay.
No,
but
shouldn't.
It's important that you should be able to, if you choose to.
Exactly.
I shouldn't say you shouldn't, but it's not exactly that important to, unless you need to. That's always what I felt about it.
Well, here's another side of this too. For some people, low enough net worth, you're never going to be able to get away from a custodian. Like, I'm sorry, long term, somebody who doesn't have more than like 50 or $100 to their name at any given time, like, I'm sorry, dude. You have no self sovereignty unless you learn how to actually accumulate more money than that. It's just too expensive.
It's true. Like, it's like, there's that one idea that Bitcoin, we all say Bitcoin is great for people in poverty, and it is, but it's true that, like, if you're in severe poverty, there are some, fee issues and stuff with Bitcoin, but it's like, people that say that, like, that Bitcoin's not good for people in poverty because it's too costly, like the BCH people, you're completely discounting the fact that those people that are impoverished can pool together. Like, they can pool together. It means trusting, like, whether it's the head of household, like if it's the father pooling together the family's resources, or if it's a group of friends or a community but they can do that. They can pool resources, and Bitcoin will help lift them out of that situation. Like that's again what fucking mining pools are. Like we're pooling together, trusting someone, because we can't do it on our own. I'd be out of business if I had to solo mine.
Dude,
so would almost 99% of people, right? That's what really triggers me.
Bitcoin Beach work, man. Like the Galoy stack, like it's literally a custodial multi-sig bank amongst the community, because you have to, like, you have to deal with that. But also a little side tangent, fuck mining pools. We need to work on decentralized mining protocols, and that kind of just got ignored. I just had to get that out.
No, and you're right. Decentralized protocols are important, but they're only important when you need them. Like that's why the infrastructure is important. We got to build it, and it's got to be like developed. But like me as a business owner, like I'm not going to go with a higher cost, like decentralized option if I can just trust my boys at Slush Pool to not fuck me, right? Like I'm just going to do that until I get fucked by them, and then I have I got plan B. I'm going to go to P2P pool or whatever, you know, because I totally am on board with building that stuff out, but it's that you got to have it there when you need it, and that's the perspective I look at things with.
Awesome, I like it. Brandon, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to wrap up on custody, I agree. It's just about the threat of self-custody. That's what matters. And centralization is really efficient, and custodial options are efficient. And so we should expect that the primary use case for most people will be custodial, because they want that type of arrangement. But I like the analogy I like is similar to outside your house. You put a little sign that says, this house is protected by a big scary dog, or this house is protected by a security system, or men with guns, or whatever. It doesn't even matter if you have a dog, security system, or guns. Just the threat is what matters.
It's like putting up dummy cameras. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to pile on to Shinobi's thought about LEDN, I think this is a very fascinating moment in Bitcoin's history. And I think LEDN is something that nobody saw coming, although it's kind of obvious now, right? They've been historically, economically fucked, both from neocolonialism, internal corruption.
Just fisted them for years.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And so I'm hoping that we see LATAM leapfrog a bunch of these, quote, developed countries that are clinging to Keynesianism. And who knows if that's going to happen? Like, let's be pessimistic for a second. Let's say Bukele is just a narcissist who wants the shine to come on him. That's possible. It might even be probable. But the reality is he's bringing this freedom money into his country inside the Trojan horse. And once he brings it in there, the people will get exposed to it, and there's no way to get it out. And I think that's going to kind of cascade through LATAM. And I think, honestly, if we zoom out here, the most important point here is that what Bukele did was he just gained millions of Bitcoiners as allies, right? He aligned incentives. Yep. Now it's our job to make sure El Salvador is successful. And we have to, because it makes it look bad on us, right? And so, yeah, like we're going to go in there, and no matter what, it's going to be successful. Even if it's not due to Bitcoin, there's going to bring capital there. The country's going to economically develop, and other LATAM countries are going to see that, and they're going to say, we want resources in our country.
So, I think a place like that.
Really quick, though, the important thing, though, is everybody who follows next, unless they rush too quick on the tails of El Salvador, are going to be able to learn lessons from what is done wrong in El Salvador, what problems were not anticipated. And each time some new player comes on board, there's more refining and more learning and better done infrastructure and legislation based on the problems that you see from the last one.
Yeah, less risk, but also less upside, right? Being first or early has tremendous advantage, also more risk.
Yeah, you often just burn and people learn from you and do better. And there's a good chance that there will be some big hiccups with the El Salvador stuff. I mean, like, I've never subscribed to the idea that, you know, we got to get state adoption or like institutional adoption. Like, I look at it like Bitcoin's going to fucking destroy you guys. Like, it's a bottom up money. You guys are a top down benefit, like you're benefiting from the top down money system. This is a bottom up money system. It's going to absolutely like split you up, like fraction you out. The shareholders of your institution are going to start competing against each other because they're going to be competing for like a sounder money and not a dependent on like a fiat Cantillon ladder effect, if you know what I mean.
Do you think, just out of curiosity, since we're on the topic, do you think that in the grand scheme of things, let's say, okay, so El Salvador adopt Bitcoin. There's going to be some issues that arise, but in general, I would say that in the long term, a Bitcoin standard is going to be, and it's not even a full bit. It's like a quasi, like almost like a bimetallism, except for one is like a rapidly depreciating shitcoin that is the US dollar. But you have that. Do you have then some nation state that then adopts some sort of god awful shitcoin or like a mix of shitcoins and then has it be a massive problem? Like, do we see that play out on like like your noob friend? You tell them you've been orange pilling them forever, and then your noob friend jumps in and they buy like a bunch of like SHIB token, and then
that's my worst nightmare. Like,
yeah,
please no. Please
let it happen.
Continue. No, please do not let that happen. Like, please continue. Like the Middle
Look, man,
East,
they're already
the
using the worst.
Is, like, just
remember
nothing
that this state, like the state, any country, they're already using the worst shitcoin invented in the history of man, like fiat money. If they go to any other shitcoin, like any other cryptocurrency, it's almost like a step up. Like even if it's like even if it's Ethereum, it's like a step up. I would put I fucking hate Ethereum, but I put it above fiat. I say you got fiat at the fucking bottom. Ethereum is one notch right up there, like one notch above
Steve,
fiat
I'm gonna
money.
slap you. Okay, if we ever meet in person someplace at an event, I'm gonna slap you for this. I have a memory that is.
If you slap me, I'm gonna know who you are in real life, dude. So
yeah,
you're gonna when I get slapped by some random guy at a conference, you just dox yourself because I'm remembering this, and then I'm taking a picture of you, bro.
You need like a body cam. Steve needs a body cam so we can dox.
That just like, please God, don't let that happen. Like there was enough of that shit in 2017.
I know. I don't think it's gonna happen, and it'd be ridiculous. I honestly sort of think El Salvador, like the state endorsing Bitcoin, doesn't really make sense because it's like incompatible with what makes the state. Bitcoin strips the state from signage, like printing money. It strips them from that, so they can't fund themselves on printing money. Two, it makes taxation way harder because Bitcoin can be surveilled to some degree, but not like fiat can. So it makes it harder to tax. So Bitcoin is not compatible with like state taxation. It reduces it, right? Like it reduces their scope and their ability to do things. So like it's weird to me that it's not weird, I guess, for El Salvador because they're already getting fucked so hard by foreign influences, but like I think El Salvador, if that didn't never happen, that awesome thing, that announcement, they didn't get into it, make a legal tender, I think El Salvadorians wouldn't be much different off because I think that spark and flame is already growing, and it was just going to grow. It's growing everywhere as it is, and it's just going to keep growing, right?
Well, like I'm not really familiar with Bukele or the government down there beyond what I've tried to catch up with since the original announcement. But he is continually described and compared to me as like a Trumpian figure down there. And what was Trump like? Let's rip the government apart.
A man of the people.
Way, and fucking let people solve their own problems. So if you have that kind of guy doing something like this, also in a way they will take taxes in Bitcoin. The government will definitely be building their Bitcoin war chest. Yeah. Then that just incentivizes them to continue moving in that direction and be efficient, like mind your own business unless there's a real fucking good reason for it, because you actually have to go ask people for funding when you need to pay for stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't just play the games that you do now.
And they're and I mean, if El Salvador does tax and use Bitcoin in the treasury, they are going to outcompete, any direct. Well, I mean, every country, I guess, competes in a way together, but even their direct neighbors, they're going to outcompete them as a place to live, as an economy. Like, no, you're right. Like, you're right that it's totally a good move. I like to think it's going to happen either way. It's going to catch fire, and I think you guys all agree with that. But
I see an idea.
It was weird
jump
to me
out
to
the
see
front of Brandon's head His face is like, he's like, I have to say something now. I've seen it on his face. Holy shit.
That could be the rye speaking through my face, but I do have a point. And the point is that we should be aware that, with regard to incentives, like why would a country willingly give up their seniorage? In El Salvador's example, they were dollarized already.
That's true.
So they have no seniorage. They have no ability to control the monetary system. So they're essentially importing U.S. inflation, and they get no benefit from that. Whereas American citizens do. And so I think
that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the dollarized nations, at least they have the most incentive to flip over quickly. Whereas I agree otherwise. Why would you ever give up seniorage unless you were forced to? And so we might have a dozen countries that matter that might flip here in the next, let's say, 18 to 24 months. But after that, it starts to get a little bit harder because you're giving up serious power.
You're absolutely right. Like seniorage is such a powerful tool for a country, and to have their own central bank and to print their problems away. And if that's the situation in El Salvador, you're absolutely right. Like they've already been stripped of that corrupt, mechanism for keeping power. So it's a good point, man.
And see, an interesting thing here, though, is like nations like in a dollarized or already relinquished situation like that, if this is successful and dominoes, like, I hope most of us hope it does, that brings more liquidity to the overall network, which go to the other end, like hyperinflationary countries that still have seniorage ability, etc. Well, now it's more liquid, more relatively stable. It makes more sense for those types of countries to get on board. And even if they don't want to get on board, those are the kind of places where your people are going to go, fuck you, we're going to do this anyway. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like countries like America, China, like maybe the two top countries on the planet. I live in Canada. We consider ourselves a first world. I feel like we're third world sometimes, but I feel like we're going to be like the people of Canada, of course, are in a position where they can go out and become Bitcoiners. Like it's a wealthy country, but like the government, like the state of Canada, doing anything to adopt Bitcoin, we're already so close to the upper echelon of the fiat maxi hood. So like you almost expect us in the US to and the Chinese to be, and all the other top, maybe G7 nations, like the in club nations and whatnot, to be the last to ever consider any legalization of legalization or tendering of Bitcoin. And that's good, because it's the places that need it most. Like I hope they win, and I hope they show. I really hope what we see over the next few years, like El Salvador, just boom. Like I really like that story on the ATM business going there. Just read a little bit about it, but like if it can show that, it's going to be job creating, it's going to be like a real economic boom, man, that'll be just savage. It'll just catch fire.
Yeah, 15K. I can't remember the name of the company, but they're slated to do 15,000 ATMs in the country, but in like tranches of smaller batches of them going out. But could be interesting.
Can I pivot into why I'm bullish on this episode?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
As I'm on my like fourth shot of rye and I'm about to like lose any coherency. Like on the same topic, like, I just love seeing any startup, especially any Bitcoin related, like pro Bitcoin related startup, do well. One of my favorite follows on Twitter is like Tahini's Restaurant, like a little franchise that's like big into Bitcoin, and they're going to kill it, because like just having Bitcoin in your treasury, it makes it so difficult for any other competitor. Like you could be they're a restaurant business. Any other competitor that's in a restaurant, that's a tough freaking market to be in, like the restaurant business. Like that's one of, maybe Bitcoin mining is like the only harder market because it's so easy to get into. But like restauranting, like it's an easy business. It's a low barrier to entry, tough margins. But Tahini's, like I don't know who else who's their direct competitor in their area. I think they're based in Ontario. It's probably a million shawarma places that do like what Tahini's does. But teams gonna fucking kill those guys. Like they're gonna kill all their competition because they might have the exact same profit margin. They might have, at the end of the year, 10% profit, just like every other competitor in the area, sort of like plus or minus a few percent, some guys in the negative, whatnot. But teams gonna kill them. They're gonna kill them because they're gonna have this Bitcoin treasury. And I was saying that locally on a local podcast in Lloyd. Like I got this small oil field business. We're getting into motors and stuff. Like we're not doing, aside from the Bitcoin mining focus that we have, what we're doing is actually not that different than what a lot of oil service companies do. And I said on this podcast locally, I'm like, my competition will have no chance to compete with me if they don't adopt a Bitcoin treasury. And they don't even have to build Bitcoin mines. They can just, all you have to do as any small business owner is convert a little bit of your treasury and your profits into Bitcoin, and to hodl it and to speculate properly on it. And you're going to crush your competition, like your fiat competition. So my bullishness that I wanted to bring to this episode is like, I think that small businesses and true entrepreneurs, not fiat entrepreneurs, not the guys like just going out and trying to raising money from these VCs and not really building anything, but actually true entrepreneurs, people going out and starting small businesses. I think we're going to see finally a true like economic boom in small businesses that we've seen suppression for over 100 years, like over 50 years for sure, ever since like the full on 1971 fiat standard. But I've like, when I showed up on the show, I was driving, right? I do a lot of driving around Alberta, Saskatchewan. Alberta well, Sessions, we go through all these small towns. Every small town's the fucking same. And I think about it from like the Bitcoiner perspective. I'm like, all these small towns are identical. Like they have the same franchises. They got the like Mr. Lube. They got like the Petro-Canada. They got gas station. They all got franchises. There's no fucking small businesses anywhere. They're all dead. They're dead. Like everything's a franchise now, right? Which in and of itself isn't a problem. But the fact is, like, these people are just licensees of a business model. They're not finding their own supply chains and building a small business. They're going out and becoming a licensee of a big fiat, like a big corporation that ends up benefiting from like the fiat.
Steve, can I just go down a random rabbit hole that I haven't thought about in months that you just completely unlocked it? So I get really high a lot and I do really silly things with my time.
Me too.
Randomly decide for a week that I'm going to make a bunch of different hamburger recipes. And so when I do stuff like that, sometimes I have funnier ideas. Like, what if we open sourced a franchise model where I specifically lay out the exact process of something, like how it's supposed to be done, like how you're supposed to cook this food, and I open source it and anybody can do that. But if I catch you fucking up, if I catch you deviating from that brand, I get to sue the shit out of you and take a bunch of money from you. But if you follow everything to the T, everything's yours.
I was actually thinking of something like that. Like I'm really like, I don't know. I'm really open with like what we do in our business. And like, I've always tried to help people and educate people in the oil field space about Bitcoin mining. And I was thinking like, okay, we did a lot of work on building these designs for Bitcoin mines. And I want Bitcoiners to go out and be successful, whether they're like oil companies, whether they're like semi-competitors or not. I'm like, maybe I should open source all my designs so that anyone, like, open source it so that, like, we're not going to legally do anything against anyone that builds exactly what I build. I'll give them all the spec, anything, like suppliers, because there's a lot more to business than just like how you build something. You got to still do it well. And part of my idea was like, maybe I'll just go do this. Like, a rising tide ends up lifting all boats anyway. Like, it's going to make more credibility around what we do in our little niche market. And in the end, I'm going to get more business anyway. And sort of what you're thinking, as long as they don't, I don't know, try to like bring in their own legal, say like, patent something and try to bring in their own like little legal monopoly around what they're doing based off our designs, then it's totally open market. I don't know. I think that's like a very interesting idea. Something I've actually been thinking about a lot, because like I'd like to sort of maybe open source all the stuff that we designed in house that like, right now, like we would probably like certainly if it wasn't me at the helm, like if it was just like a regular fiat maxi at the helm, we would go after anyone that like copied it. But right now we're sort of cool with like what goes on. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can keep going, but the liquor's starting to hit me hard.
Oh no, I'm happy to hear that I'm not the only one thinking along those lines, because it's like I'm exactly on the same point with you. Like all of these small businesses dying and being cannibalized by these massive franchises, like it's sickening. Like when I was a kid, I used to go around places, and every place I went is the new unique thing for that area and that locality, and like let's go find those things and experience them, and they're all fucking gone.
You know, back like not that long ago, like I come from Newfoundland. There was a lot of, and this would be the same anywhere, but I'm just speaking from my own experience. Like my family history, like there was always like in this small town in Newfoundland where sort of my people come from. Like there's always mom and pops. Like it was like father and son shops. Like you know, like back in the day, maybe mostly men doing a lot of the business stuff, but it was always like this guy and sons or these brothers, and like, you know, like doing all that stuff. And the theory, you know, the fiat sort of Keynesian thinking on this is like, well, the Walmart models like pushed them all out and stuff. Like, no, it's not the Walmart model or the Amazon model that killed small businesses. It's fucking fiat money printing that killed small businesses. It's not the fact that these guys made these big distribution chains. It's the fact that
How did those get paid for?
It's the fact that their access to capital, like their cost of capital, is less than everyone else. That's what kills small businesses. And fuck, like I remember when I started my business and I was like just trying to get sales. Like I would go to these like clean tech conferences, like in Alberta, like emissions reduction. Like we do massive emissions reduction stuff. So I went to these emissions reduction like clean tech conferences. And like I'm looking around at like what people are selling, and like I would do like a little pitch event, like a little pitch contest to see if I could get interest in our business and stuff. And I'm not a great pitcher really, but there are these like really polished people like pitching their products, but I look at their products and they stink. Like they're terrible. Like they're the worst. Like they're not scalable in any rational world. But these people are just running around like these circuits of like emissions reduction conference, clean tech, you know, and it's the same with like, you know, all the buzzwords like AI, you know, blockchain conferences, all that shit we dealt with in like 2017. It's like all these non-scalable crap products with these like, you know, entrepreneurs raising money, but not actually getting customers. Raising money is the metric for success, but not getting customers. It's like customers is all that matters. Sales, customers, product, service. Sorry?
I was just
WeWork, yeah.
That.
Oh, like that's like one of the biggest fiat like maxi disasters ever. Like I mean, it's everyone's about raising money. You go. I'm just like ranting at this point because I'm like buzzing. But like you go on like LinkedIn, it's just fucking everyone's congratulating, patting each other on the back for raising money. It's like, why don't you talk about the sales you made, like the customers you acquired, because that's what's fucking important in real life. But it's just, oh yeah, look at all the money we raised at this valuation. Like like that's all it is on there. And like all of society is that way now. And then you see all these shows. You got like Shark Tank, Dragon's Den in Canada is the version of Shark Tank, and all these like entrepreneurial shows, like startups, like mostly not really, a lot of people like not really bringing much to market, but just like, it's just like this VC hype scene, which is a whole nother rabbit hole, which triggers me, is like the VC like aspect of Twitter, which is like all these VCs on Twitter that are like, look, man, a VC is like a fiat maxi. Like there's no way around it. And like they're all these people clinging on to Bitcoin. It's like Bitcoin's going to destroy your core business model. Like in the long run, it's just like this weird juxtaposition where all the fiat maxis are like pumping into Bitcoin. But I guess it's just people doing what's in their own best interest. But like the business models are incompatible with Bitcoin. But it's just people doing what's in their own best interest and profiting in the short term. But it's like it's like this weird phenomenon. It's like in the future when Bitcoin and sound money returns, there's not going to be this VC culture we're seeing right now, which are basically the dependence of the money printing like hierarchy, right? Like it goes down to the VCs, and I don't know. I'm just like getting there, but
Yeah, it's like you just.
I'm
have a
bullish on
pile of
small
money
businesses, man.
because
I think small businesses are going to be insane. Like, I can't wait for the Bitcoin standard. And I really promote, like, I'm straight up promoting to my own competitors in like our locality, like the Lloyd, Alberta, Saskatchewan area. Like, guys, like, accept Bitcoin as payment. Or if no one wants to pay in Bitcoin, which is still hard to do, I have a lot of customers paying me in Bitcoin because they're miners, so they have Bitcoin. But like, you guys, you're just selling motors. You're my competitor. I don't give a shit. Sell your motors, convert your profit to Bitcoin, and stay in business. Like, because that is how you're going to win as a small business right now.
Brandon,
I
you
think
want to say something?
Yeah, Steve, to your point there, I think you identified a ton of issues that we're having right now, and they all stem from the fact that money is easy, right? And what that leads to is a cascading effect of the bigger you are, the closer you are, the more access to capital you have, et cetera. That's what drives all behavior. So until we change incentives, we're not going to see anything change in the real world. I have a slightly more charitable view of venture capital. I think what we have now is obviously an extreme overgrowth of that. And it's way too much money sloshing around there. And you can see portfolios in VC land are directly correlated to how easy the money is during the period of their fund. No surprise. And so I think what we need is a Bitcoinized world in order to change these things, right? We'll see a mass definancialization, which I think is a huge net positive for normal people, right? Like the stat, I think it's
demons. They're devil people.
Well, okay,
Yeah, Maxi,
let's talk about this for a second. I think the caricature of VCs that we see today, I would agree with, but I would argue that there is a place, and I want to hear you guys' opinion. I think there's a place for people who place long-term bets on very risky type businesses, right? I think the model makes sense. 100 fail and one of them changes the world. I just think that right now they have too much money. They're able to raise too much because everyone needs yield. So everyone's going further down.
It's so hard to find right now. It's so hard to find. Like, yield.
But that pushes, like, that's kind of the problem, though, is so much money sloshing around is what makes them devil people, because the same way that money printer is distortionary, they're like a secondary distortionary effect, throwing us around at crazy things wildly instead of thinking about who actually can make a solid plan and an argument to us. Who do we know and trust, and actually being like scrutinizing and skeptical in where they put their money. Just like the money printer distorts things and they wind up with a pile of money, and so they go on and distort things again because they just see it as a gambling casino. Like, so
it's not necessarily it's not the role, it's what our perverted monetary system has converted the role into.
Yeah, like, I have no ill will towards any VC or anyone that works in any of those, like, you know, I just call it the Cantillon ladder, right? Central banking down to the pleb. Like, anyone high up the ladder, it's no problem. Like, you're doing what's in your own best interest and all that. But I mean, we're all working to reverse just flip the mechanism of how, you know, money is created through mining and distribution through sound Bitcoin mechanisms instead of like the top-down fiat mechanism. But it's just a commentary on like it's just this funny, like, you know, I've always thought it was funny that like some of the most prominent and influential people like in the Bitcoin space are like people that are in positions, like they're higher up the Cantillon ladder, like they're benefiting from fiat. Like, they didn't scrap and like grow a small business into something amazing. They went to school. And this is not a knock on these people individually, but it's just the system. Like, they go to school, they work for this fund, and they benefit immensely. Because they're like us, like, they're big Bitcoiners, they go out and crush it. They want the sound money standard too. But it's just ironic to me. It's like you're it's almost like Coinbase. Like, Coinbase is an exchange. The more Bitcoin succeeds, the less relevant they become. It's like you're putting yourself like out of work in a sense. But yeah, it's like certainly it's never a hate against the player. It's like the system is such a fucked up mess. There's all this irony and hypocrisy in this whole space that's funny to comment on, because like, it's just like
well, it perverts everybody's actions, right? Like, the problem is I posted that what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. I took a screenshot of that CNBC upside of inflation, increased wages, and one of my friends commented on it, who's like an intelligent person and is like well off and has a good job and everything. He commented, he's like, well, yeah, but the upside of that is that my debt gradually gets, you know, whittled down and gone away. But like when you think of what induced that debt in the first place is asset inflation. Like you can't just save money for a house nowadays and then buy your house, or like only have like a short mortgage. You can't just, for the most part, you can't just save money for a new car nowadays. You have to like get a payment plan and pay it off over 5, 6, 7, 8 year terms now. Like the people are looking at it from a perspective of, oh, well, like maybe it's okay in this context because it fixes the problem that the problem itself caused. And it's like the very base layer of all of this perverts all of our incentives to drive us to do things that we wouldn't normally do in a system that is just a money that actually functions
in a free market. Yeah.
Well, speak for yourself, but I'm perfect and I always do the right thing regardless of my incentives.
I just want to take an aside. Like, we haven't heard from our friend Tim.
Tim, are you alive?
So is the water working?
Is it? How's the water? I think he's got a. How you doing, Tim?
You're on mute, Timmy.
You're muted, and you're oh, there we go. Hold on.
You guys hear me?
we're making sure you're not dead.
Yeah, so I think I messed up. Like, my bad.
You didn't mess up, my friend.
You got your points out. You made your statements. You had a little too much fun. That's all.
We had someone in the audience concerned about you. We had.
I feel like really not there.
I think you're set. This is effectively what this show is a bunch of Bitcoiners getting together and having the fun, like over drinks conversation that Bitcoiners want to have on their Friday nights. And then everybody in the chat gets to join in. And that's kind of the point. So I love it. Also, everybody's rooting for you in the chat. Everybody's like, go Tim. Tim,
I suck. Sorry. I'm 220 pounds, but like I just can't. I can't do it.
People are like, pickles might help. Somebody else said, try a cup of coffee. Everybody's got their own remedies. So sort through the chat, and I'm sure there's some great stuff.
I actually had when I was working at like the company before this stuff, I had a good Korean friend. She, I think, had the same issue. Like, she'd have one drink, and he was saying earlier on, it's like a metabolism thing. It would go like straight to her head. She'd get flush red and get super drunk, like off nothing. She actually got into these like I don't know, maybe you heard about it. It's like a pill, and it just like suppresses it. Honestly, like completely. Not that it matters that you got to go drink more, but like it was. She started using that, and it actually worked like totally fine. Yeah, you got to get on the cannabis, man. Cannabis won't crush you so hard.
Yeah, man.
Agreed.
Let's keep rolling with it. I'm gonna, we've been going for an hour 45. We're gonna round it out, and we're gonna toss it to Brandon. Brandon, you get the honor of the final reason for being bullish. So, my friend, take it away. Why are you feeling bullish this week?
All right, before I do that, I have to take one quick jab. I'm in Minnesota, so Canada's pretty close. I got to take one quick jab at our friendly neighbors to the north. This was based off of Steve's comment, which was that we're going to go back to a metal standard. And last I checked, the Central Bank of Canada has no gold.
Yeah,
so I'm wondering what happens.
We're fucked, man. We're actually just going to become a U.S. state.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen in Canada.
So you'll acknowledge reality finally. It's okay. So
Yeah. Here's here. I'm
I
gonna
honestly
bring.
like. I don't know what you think, but as a fellow Canadian, but like this country sucks right now, man. Like, this
Yeah,
country.
it's fucked. It's so.
Maybe it's our Western bias, and like our Eastern brethren are just like. I'm actually from the East, which is funny. Like
Yeah.
Bitcoin changed me completely. I used to be like just brainwashed, like left thinking individual,
Dude, me
like
too.
everyone in the East, and like it just completely. I even think my conservative friends in Alberta are like lefties, like
Dude,
what they get on with. I'm like,
it's so weird. Just context for what Brandon like basically uppercutted us with is Canada's official international reserves last released by the Bank of Canada, blah blah blah. February 23rd, as of February 23rd, 2016, gold reserves are at 0. This is unprecedented. Canada now stands as the only G7 nation that does not hold at least 100 tons
when I'm
of
telling you
gold
that
in
we
its
are a
reserves.
third world country, like we like it. You come here, you won't. It doesn't. There's no reason to think so, but like, and there's like a back end reason that we are. We're going to become the biggest dependence on. Like when shit hits the fan, we're going to become major dependence on like the U.S. We're already dependents on the U.S. We sell the U.S. oil, who then sells it back to us, like without
Yeah.
doing anything to it, because we can't get any fucking pipelines in the ground. We sell it to the US. They sell it back to us on the other side of the country. They won't let us put our own pipeline in to sell our own oil to our own country. Like that's how much of a pathetic country Canada is.
Yeah.
As much as I
Yeah.
sound like a traitor to like hate on my own country, like it's a really ugly place right now from a political perspective, not from a people perspective, not from a land and opportunity perspective. We should be actually. I always think that I've always thought that Canada should be the like one of the biggest places for opportunity for people to be coming to right now, but it's the communists
Yeah.
that are keeping that from happening.
It's I would like to see more autonomy between the provinces, right? I love to see
blaze the trail and show us down here.
yeah, right. It's like of all the provinces, I'm actually it's funny because Steve, you said you went from kind of being like leaning left to after Bitcoin.
I came to Alberta, and the first thing I did when Trudeau, like I like before I got into Bitcoin, which was 2016, which is when Trudeau sort of like came to the scene. Like I was like, yeah, Trudeau, like I'm a liberal, and I actually didn't vote, but then I got into Bitcoin. I was like, oh my god, like what was I thinking? As people educated me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and another thing is like I'm speaking from the Bitcoin mining perspective. Like Texas is a place. Texas gets all the hype on Bitcoin mining right now, like in the North American market. Wyoming, there's other states that get a lot of hype too, but like you got like there's certain things that are very conducive to that meme. But like if Canada wasn't such a fucked up regulatory place, like if like Alberta and Saskatchewan and BC had more of the mentality that like Texas had, is like deregulation, more free market stuff, we would fucking dominate the United States in Bitcoin mining. Like the climate, the energy waste it's insane here. Like I'm really in tune with the oil markets up here. We would absolutely dominate Bitcoin mining, but unfortunately it's a regulatory regime that's driving interest and investment out of our country. But it's not the resource or the opportunity. It's not that Texas or any of the other states like Wyoming, any of the other ones, Pennsylvania, I'm speaking from an oil and gas Bitcoin mining stuff perspective, but it's not the opportunity, it's the regulatory regimes. Canada is just a weird place to place money right now because they just flip-flop all the time. They won't let anything go through. You can't build nothing, can't get no licensing for anything, permitting, you can't get nothing. And they're always changing like carbon tax rules, which I'd love to rant about sometime, but
yeah, it's messed up. Yeah, it's I'm gonna toss it back to Brandon because we now that he jabbed Canada and then we got to go on a Canadian rant. That's your fault, man. You tossed it to us and then we just were like, fuck.
Why do we
Okay,
got
so-
to? Why do we got to? Well, how are we gonna counter this and like go after the U.S.? I don't know.
Oh, you
Good
can.
luck.
Just
Biden's
keep
in.
working.
I would like you can make fun of Biden, but Trudeau's worse. So
Yeah.
we got nothing.
All right, to the point that I am bullish about, and it's going to go on the theme for me. For some reason, this whole conversation, I've been thinking about incentives, and the thing I'm bullish about here is that American politicians who hardly understand Bitcoin are jumping on the bandwagon, and that they find it in their best interest to promote Bitcoin. And we already know the Suarez is that dude in middle of nowhere, Tennessee, Texas, Wyoming. We know those ones, but we've had a couple of surprising ones like Eric Adams, mayoral candidate from New York, who just won the primary. And then a new one, Erica Rhodes, who's running against Brad Sherman for Congress in California's 30th district. And they're going hard at Bitcoin. Sorry, what?
I was gonna say, is Brad Sherman that fiat maxi guy?
Yeah, he's the guy who
remember.
understands Bitcoin. He's a douchebag who's like, Bitcoin's going to remove our political power to.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
good,
whiny
man.
little guy. He loves.
Yes, get him out of power. That
The guy
weasel.
whose donors are all
Burgers.
financial companies and banks and payment processors and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny because he gets it. Like he actually gets it, but then he'll say it in Congress or wherever, and he'll be like, it's gonna remove all our power. We won't be able to like control the monetary system and like keep the average blue collar worker down and all of these things. Basically, like says all of this stuff is what
keep
Bitcoin's
destroying
for.
the American dream.
Yeah,
That's basically what he's saying.
but then he'll say a bunch of like bunk metrics that like, and also all the criminals are using it, and everybody's gonna launder money and everything. He'll say a bunch of bullshit alongside it, and because
he gets it, but he's a weasel.
Yeah, exactly. And because he uses all these like bunk, like only bad people use it metrics alongside like what it's actually for, everybody fully dismisses everything he says, which is kind of like a nice, like pairing of like, well, he's crazy about this shit because we know the data is wrong. And then he must be crazy about that Bitcoin is completely going to destroy the nation state too.
That's the CIA's playbook you just described. The CIA came up with the word conspiracy theorist. I think it was in the 70s. In order to categorize all the people speaking out against power, they made that up. And so then all you have to do is call them a conspiracy theorist, and then all their arguments are bunk. It's like weaponized ad hominem from
climate denier. You're a climate denier. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. You're anti-vaccine because you're
It's very
questioning
basic
the experimental
application
COVID.
It's propaganda. It's public relations. Edward Bernays.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, Bernays is a legend. But can I finish my point why I'm bullish?
Yeah, man. Go.
So we have the politicians. They don't know shit, but they're piling in. And what this leads to is politicians are here to be reelected, right? And so if they're good at one thing, they're good at, strategically finding votes. And the Bitcoin community is an asymmetric upside for candidates because Bitcoiners by and large are one issue voters. I will not go to the ballot box unless it's either for or against a Bitcoin proponent. And there's absolutely no constituents who are one issue voter against Bitcoin. So by promoting Bitcoin, you only gain voters. And so I think we're going to see this more and more. And I think we're also going to see people piling in to support Erica Rhodes. There's already a massive Telegram group. They're raising money. There's going to be people knocking on probably every house in the district is going to be knocked on by a Bitcoiner. And so I think that, what's happening here is all the incentives are being aligned, and Bitcoiners will get these people voted into power. Other people will see this, and it's just asymmetric towards Bitcoin.
It seems like everything's asymmetric towards Bitcoin. That's an interesting idea too.
What do you think about the like? And I agree with the premise of the incentives line up in the long term towards Bitcoin, especially in the context of what's gone on over the past year and the average person, holding on to dollars and watching their purchasing power whittle away, and just general Bitcoin kind of fixes this mentality. What do you say to the ability of Bitcoiners to kind of slay their heroes? Do you think there's going to be a lot of that with politicians in and around Bitcoin related runs? Like, do you think that continues? I mean, obviously,
I
I
hope it continues. I love it.
Yeah. And how does that play out? Like if somebody runs on like a Bitcoin stance and then like doesn't follow through, or like,
well, the biggest possibility right now, I guess, politically wise, is what's Bukele, like the El Salvadorian maxi, like Bitcoin maxi or president, but I guess he's at risk of making a misstep and having the Bitcoiners turn on him, right? Like, because they're all everyone's in his corner right now, so he's at risk of making a misstep and becoming like a fallen angel. So I almost feel like it has to happen at some point. So like, when is it going to happen and what's the context?
But will that really matter at this point? I mean,
I don't think it'll matter.
Like,
it'll be just fun drama, right? Like when he does something that he turns on us, or does something like what we always see in the Bitcoin space, especially.
But it's like, look at Breedlove getting canceled. Like he's still there. He's still tweeting. People are still like, it didn't matter shit. It was just
no. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And the bigger we get, like the more irrelevant that type of shit will be. So it's kind of like to Brandon's point, like when politicians use Bitcoin as a way to kind of gather attention and support or financing or whatever, like eventually they're just going to carry off on their own momentum with that. And that's not something that us yelling on the internet can really do anything to influence. They don't care about anyone but their voters.
I have a question, Shinobi. Do you think that I know we're kind of going down a little bit of a detour here, but in regards to, I guess it applies in regards to Breedlove, or in regards to politicians or whatever, if somebody messes up, do you think, because right now, yeah, sure, the whole BitClout debacle and dude has more followers than he's ever had and so on and so forth. Do you think that's just a symptom of less, like only a small percentage of people actually being in tune with Bitcoin and kind of the incentives it aligns, and that shifts over time where people begin to kind of align with that low time preference ethos and eventually expect more of people, and that has more of an actual impact on their actions moving forward? Or do you think that's just like a forever symptom of people just don't give a shit and they're not going to look deep enough to care?
I think we're in our eternal September, and I do think the amount of people in just pure numbers who actually start to go deeper down the hole, think more about time preference and to what degree or what bar they hold other people, like that number will grow. But percentage wise versus the people who don't give a shit, no, it's probably just going to keep shrinking. And like that's just a fundamental thing here. And it's really like that's all it comes down to. Like even personally speaking, like I don't give a shit about people dumping a shit coin or trading a shit coin or have at it. Just don't sit here and try to bullshit me about what you're fucking doing. You're dumping a shit coin to get more Bitcoin. Own it.
Yeah, I think the major point here is that the immune system of Bitcoin, the toxicity, the way we police each other, etc., that's very important in the beginning. Mm-hmm. With any community, you have to establish norms and ways to go about things and whatever. But at a certain point, back to eternal September, right? The new entrants outnumber the ideologically motivated people in the beginning that are incubating. And that has to happen for Bitcoin to succeed. So our job is to just simply provide cover fire so that Bitcoin can get through the door, right? We're trying to incubate this thing so it becomes too big to fail. And then necessarily it must outgrow us at some point. And so, right, there's going to be that tension point. Like, are we too big to fail now? Should we relax a little bit, or do we need to stay vigilant for another period of time? And I don't know the answer to these questions, but if Bitcoin can't accept way more new users that aren't ideologically aligned, then Bitcoin failed from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And old Breedlove, like, he didn't really turn on Bitcoin like some guys in the past, like Mr. Roger Ver and others. I don't think it's even in the same conversation. Like, it's not like, I never even looked at, I ignored all the drama. It's like, man, like the guy's doing what he's doing. Like, he's not directly, like, I don't want to go into that conversation. It was like, to me, it was like, okay, like, I'm also a Bitcoin maxi. I'm also like, dude, that's sort of gay. Like, not sorry, I didn't mean to say that. That's just like an old saying. It's sort of like ridiculous. Not that didn't mean to do that.
This reminds me of that South
that's
Park
the liquor.
episode.
That's the no. It's just it's like whatever. Like, it's, who cares? Like, whatever. Like, he's not out there scamming. Like, or maybe some people disagree, but.
It's this simple. Just own it. Like, I literally
just own it. Just own it.
And this is the one thing I said. Like, don't act like you're the first person to dump a shit coin. Block.
I wanted to create my own fiat called Soy Coin. Like, Steve owes you coins, and like, just like, you give me your Bitcoin, you give me all your Bitcoin, I'll custody it, and I'll give you my fiat, and you can redeem your fiat for my coins. And like, I consider myself a Bitcoin like maxi. Maxi. That's what I think of myself. And I thought it was a great idea because I know I wouldn't fuck anyone. I wouldn't steal your coins, but I was joking about it online and people were ripping into me. I'm like, well, it's not even a bad idea in some contexts. It's in some situations, custodial options in certain situations are a good idea. But people are so quick to just like narrow vision, censorship resistance, like run your own node, like all the memes, hodl, stack sats, and when you go against it, it doesn't mean you're not a Bitcoin maxi. It's just like chill sometimes,
I do like the implications of the interim as like in the context of what Brandon is talking about and politicians coming into the fray, and I do like that. Given it's still so niche, there's that immediate pushback when you start saying dumb shit, right? Like, if you're a politician,
I love it when people, you say something dumb like online and you get trashed by your fellow Bitcoin guys, like Bitcoin people. Like, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
100%. And I like the idea of, because like there was a guy from,
it doesn't happen anywhere else, man. It doesn't happen anywhere else. You can be in any other industry and people don't call you out. It's all about political correctness. There's no like just straight to the point, like be real, be truthful, be honest. Like, just if you don't be honest, like you get, man, like I think it's a really good thing. And
we literally told the richest man on the planet to go fuck himself and sell all his coins. So like the president has been said that like it doesn't matter if
Jack
you're like
Mahler's
some
had an
senator
amazing reply to Elon, like Peter McCormack, like in that little time frame where Elon was being a weirdo with Bitcoin. Like like is that what you're talking about? Was that what you're referring to? Where like Jack wrecked him, or?
I'm not sure about that. What was that one?
Oh, it was like where Elon turned on Bitcoin about being dirty, and then like Jack wrecked him on Twitter with all these reasons why like you're a fraud. Like, it was like the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
We all said go fuck yourself. Jack boiled down why Elon was actually a fucking idiot. With fucking reasons and arguments.
Yeah, it's and I like that idea of because like politicians are used to, okay, I'm elected and then I get my term and whatever, and then I can just kind of like, when it comes around to election time again, then I can start putting out the sound bites and sounding good. But like Bitcoiners, like they still Like, how long ago was SegWit 2x? And anybody involved in pushing that is like, as soon as they say anything, it's like, fuck you, man. What you tried to do was not okay. And so, like, I feel like that same
It's only the
level,
people that didn't own it at all that are still getting shit. Because like anyone that owned it, I don't know, was it the guy from Zappo or like one of the guys that were pushing it? Then he owned it later. He's totally forgiven. Like it's like fine. Like you just got to own it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cesares, like he was one of the only
that was the
people
guy
that actually fucking publicly apologized. One of the only fucking ones, and for that, like,
he's fucking badass in my book because it takes such a big person to do something like that. Like we're so used to people never like owning anything, and like I don't know, like what I love about the Bitcoin space, because I'm tied to the oil field and I'm tied to the Bitcoin space, and I'm like sort of equally tied because I'm both ends of the spectrum. Like in oil field, like all these fiat maxi emissions fucking Nazis are like saying this is the way it's got to be. You're bad for doing your business. Like you have to pay us a penalty, and like it's ridiculous, this carbon tax stuff. And none of the oil companies, none of the people in the oil field are like making a platform of standing up against these people. But at least what I see in Bitcoin, like Marty Bent's a big voice. Like there's other people in the Bitcoin space that are big voices that are standing up against the bullshit. And you don't see that in normal industries because everyone's trying to be politically correct. But Bitcoin people don't give a fuck about that because most of them, like real Bitcoiners, are like self-sovereign individuals. They don't care about being canceled. They don't care about like what anyone else thinks of them. And I really have a hope that like this is going to grow. And well, I'm seeing it grow. Like I'm seeing Bitcoin penetrate the oil and get like the energy industries and the oil and gas. And so this is another bullish topic, but like it's penetrating these industries. And I think it's going to change them. Like I think it's going to change them big time. Like I'm out on LinkedIn trolling people, like telling them to like stop your bullshit. Like people don't normally see that kind of thing on LinkedIn because I just think it's necessary. Like it's Bitcoin maxis are considered almost like extreme intolerant individuals over bullshit, and I think it's going to permeate as it continues to be a factor in society. Like as Bitcoin continues to be a factor in society.
I think there's an important point you made there, and regarding the Bitcoin community, I think of it like a sports team or a fraternity or any type of organization, even a company who has the same mission or same goal. And we all align to this baseline values, and we may have very different personal lives or interests or whatever. But that sports team feel is important, right? Like getting your ass kicked every day in practice is why you win games. And so the internal attacking that we do amongst each other is in a way practice. It's sharpening our tool, we're checking each other, etc. And that's why Bitcoin becomes the best team, right? Because we practice hard and we hold each other accountable. At the same time,
there's no tolerance of just nonsense. Like there's no nonsense tolerance. Like it's like stop fucking around. Like, and you have to defend yourself if you to make a misstep, as we all have found out online at one time or another by saying something stupid.
Exactly.
Take another hit. Say something else stupid.
The net of this, just to wrap up, the net of this is that it forces or it challenges a lot of people to become the best version of themselves, right? And that's where the magic is. Like you want to go write about Bitcoin? Okay, great. You better spend 100 hours or 1,000 hours reading the existing literature. And if you're going to put something out there, it better be good because you're vying for the respect of the community. And so, speaking for myself, it challenges me to put out the best version of content that I can, or be a better version of myself in my personal life or whatever it is. And that's extremely powerful, right? People eat differently, they work out, they change their diet, they Shinobi quit smoking, right? There's all these examples. And that's amazing, right? Like it's just a crucible of positive development, and positive development comes with pain and sacrifice and challenge. That's the only way.
And constructive criticism, which is what we're all really doing to each other. And a lot of people can't take it in life, like maybe not. It's just like it's a hard thing for a lot of people, like constructive criticism, and it's just ruthless in this space. Ruthless. Like you can't make a misstep without getting constructively criticized by some anon on Twitter. Like, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. I love how I mean, people walking into like Bitcoin Twitter, they're like, Jesus Christ, you guys are just tearing each other apart. You're such assholes to each other. But like,
It's a meme at this point for
it is.
like a person to like get the dogs attack them, like the Bitcoin dogs attack them when they say something ridiculous, like whether it's FUD against Bitcoin, which is usually something FUD against Bitcoin, and then all the someone finds it right online, like quote tweets it, and then the dogs attack, and it's like it's a meme at this point.
I smell something saying something stupid. Get him.
Yeah, that's exactly
Wild,
what it
then
is.
you almost like can't stop yourself from fucking just like getting on there and joining in. But it's amusing to see, like, as soon as they say something stupid, like you see a list of Bitcoiners jump in and just grill.
Yeah,
It's the best thing ever.
It is great. I love the standard that everybody's held to. And like if you can endure that, if you can then look at responses to if you get that flack and you can endure it and look at it and go, okay, like what's actually behind this? Is it bullshit, or did I do something that was totally off base? If you can get through that, then you can go a long way in Bitcoin, just in having that heart, and it extrapolates out to the rest of your life, right? Like if you can endure the criticism and then take the good criticism, the stuff that actually makes you improve yourself, and use it to iterate as opposed to just becoming defensive, I think that's a good trait to have. And Bitcoin definitely gave me thicker skin than I used to have. That's for sure.
It's also real and honest and supportive. Like let's discard, let's say 10, 20% of people who are just being mean for no reason. They can go fuck themselves. They have no value to the conversation. But the other part of it is it's honest feedback, and almost nowhere in life do you get that, right? We're taught culturally to be, politically correct is what we call it now, but we kind of shy away from any amount of conflict. And what does that do? You're actually lying to your friends and your family. And we become such pussies, we can't actually say what we mean, even because the hard thing, the true thing is hard to say. And oh my God, the chat is loving Timmy right now.
He's the boss, man. He's the boss.
I feel kind of bad right now.
I think he like might legit be sleeping, but we're just gonna roll with it, guys.
I feel bad. I screenshotted the chat and posted on.
I don't want this to end, man. Like I've almost polished off this Twixer, man. Like we gotta go.
It's all good.
I'm also Irish and Scottish, but I weigh like literally almost 70 pounds less.
Don't dox yourself.
And I guarantee you, I can just.
You weigh 150 pounds, Shinobi? How tall are you?
Like 6'2". Let's just say it is 6'2" really hard for me to put like mass on and keep it.
All right, I'm 6'3" and I'm 180. I thought I was thin.
Brandon, what was the last thing you were saying there?
We're all pussies.
Making another good point.
Yeah, okay. The point is that because we're politically correct, we beat around the bush. We don't say things honestly. Yeah. And the thing about that is you think you're doing yourself.
You actually hurt people. Yeah.
Exactly. You think you're doing the right thing by not bringing up conflict, but in fact, the exact opposite is true. The hard truth is important. You have to give your friend a point. You have to give your family a point.
You just made me think of like an idol of mine, which sort of no longer is, Kevin O'Leary. Okay, Kevin O'Leary. So I grew up like for years before Kevin O'Leary became big on like on Shark Tank and in the US. He was on Canadian Dragon's Den. Remember that sessions? Like he was a big Dragon's Den before he got really big in the US and became a big swinging dick, like a big famous guy. I love that guy because I would watch that show. I always wanted to start a little small business when I was younger. I was like, that's just so cool. What are these people doing? I love seeing their inventions. He would be ruthless. He'd be ruthless to people, but he would tell them his truth, whether it was the truth or his truth. He would tell them his opinion. And I was like, man, this guy's the best. Like, you don't see guys like this. Like, you don't see guys that are cutthroat. Your idea is shit because of this. Rip their dreams down on live TV, right? Like, just rip them down. Ruthless. He made a name for himself for doing that, and he became famous. Went into Shark Tank, became famous, Now he's like hating on Bitcoin, which is just sad to me to see, because I was like, this guy's the fucking boss. Like, I love this guy. And now he's like clean coins and like ethical coins and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, you just totally ruined your image. I hope he'll eventually, you know, come to the good side and figure it out. He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out, because I feel like he's one of the good guys generally, but he's also a guy wanting to make money. But he's one of the, like, he's what you're saying, like Bitcoiners. What I consider Bitcoiners are ruthless. They don't sugarcoat anything. If you go out and do something silly, stupid, even to say something stupid, misstep, you're getting called out. And it's not because people are, you're right. You mentioned like the people that are just like constantly just negative. Like, you know, we've seen those people, but there's people like most of us, I think like everyone on this chat are like, we're actually just, this is constructive criticism. Like, this is like what we think. We might be wrong, but like, we're like, this is what we think. And, you know, we're going to give it to you. Like, if you misstep, and like, we're going to say you're an idiot. And, but don't like take it to heart. Learn, like if it's the truth, like absorb it and be better next time. And you're right. That's why like Bitcoin is not gonna lose, because we got like, it just attracts the best people that are willing to be these non-politically correct, just ruthless. It doesn't matter what it means to us to not be your friend. Like, we're just gonna tell you what we think. In the end, honestly, I think it's gonna like Brandon, Shinobi. I actually have never met Timmy before. I would love to know him more. BTC sessions, like in my mind, you guys got a sick reputation, like a sick reputation. Like, I would, if we were going to do business, I wouldn't need to know, I wouldn't need a credit application to give you credit. I'd be like, I already know things about you, like from peripherally, like listening to you guys, that like, it would just be you get full credit. Like, I just like, I know your reputations. And that's why, like, I think that's the thing that differentiates this industry from others. Like, it's just, especially in the mining space, man, like, it's such a scammy space. My only goal is like, we try to provide a good service. My only goal is to not fuck any of our customers anytime and absorb the cost of that, because I know the reputation thing, it's the only thing that's going to carry us forward for like a long, long time, because the fiat method of bailing out and like getting bailouts and like equity raises and stuff doesn't work. Like, it's a reputational thing. But
yeah, I
if
totally
you know
agree.
if you know what I'm getting at,
there's a different ethos, and
it's coming back.
Yes, yeah.
I get
that.
like my like online, like it's pretty much me and Adam, like Denver Bitcoin. I have other sales guys that aren't as online, but I mean, we get business because like, well, I think we build a good product, but it's a reputation thing. Like, it's people want to work with people that you know that won't fuck you, like, especially in this space. Like, I've had suppliers. Mining is a weird space. Like, I've had suppliers that I worked with for like literally years, all of a sudden screw us. Like, so I had built up, you know, I thought they were a reputable supplier. They screwed us because just the market changes. Like, ASICs get pricey faster. They can't compensate us for the shit they sent us, and it just burns bridges down. Whereas like, I feel like the long game is, you can never ever, under any circumstance, you don't need a legal contract. You just have to be good faith business, not screw somebody, eat the cost of your own mistake. Your reputation will live on, and it'll carry you to a place like you'll never get, no matter what kind of contracts you get, no matter what kind of like fiat backing you get. I feel like our company, I don't think we've ever screwed a customer. We fucked up like a bunch of times. I've shipped guys stuff that was unstable, like unstable ASICs. I bring them back at our cost, replace them with something that works. Don't fuck anyone over. It's a small space. It's all reputation. That's the way it used to be, I think. Like, in my mind, that's the way it used to be before the fiat standard.
I could buy a miner off of Reddit with no escrow from a random person and actually have the ASIC show up and not get screwed and make the money that I thought it would make.
Was it because like you had a big handle, like people knew who you were, or was it because you bought off a reputable seller?
It was just because it was a dude who didn't fucking screw me. is an honest dude, and I will never forget that. I would
Like-
not be in this space right now if that
Yeah.
dude was not an honest dude, because I would have just
He was on
burned
Bitcoin
all of my-
Talk or something, or Reddit, and had a rep, right? He had a rep. That's it. There was no probably legal contract, right? You just
Well,
trusted.
Fisher,
Yep.
there's a comment
Pure
here,
trust.
Fisher J, character and integrity. And so, like, when you're talking about Bitcoin versus fiat versus also shitcoins, like that seems to be the separating ethos, where Bitcoin is perfectly aligned with trying to get the best character and integrity out of everybody, because that's what works best for an unforgivably sound money. If you don't have those attributes, then who's going to extend credit via Bitcoin? You just straight up wouldn't. Who's going to deal with you? Who's going to trust you in that way, shape, or form? It brings back truth, and it brings back characteristics of personalities that people actually want to deal with, and that's, I don't see that in the altcoin space. I don't see that in the fiat space for damn sure. And it's refreshing to see that come back.
I doubt that any shitcoiners lose sleep over like failing to deliver something for like their client. Like when we like we've gone through problems where like our suppliers fuck us, so we end up letting our customers down on delivery timings. Like I literally can't sleep for weeks knowing that like our reputation's at risk over something that was, whether it's in our control or out of our control or just poor planning. It's like it's, to me, the only way to do business in this industry. Like Bitcoin mining is a weird thing where it's like you have to try. I've been scammed multiple times, and I'm like really conservative on who I work with. I still get scammed. Like it's wild. So it's an industry, like in my mind, that if we can't build up an amazing, you can be a fiat max, you get infinite fiat injected into your company, and like try to offer service and like bail yourself out with more fiat injection. But like when you're actually a small business trying to like do it organically and get customers, you have to be super conservative, work really hard to like find the right suppliers and not screw it up. And no matter what happens, if you're going to make money on the sale and the service or not, you take the loss as opposed to fuck your customer up if you can do it that way. It's better to make your customer whole, take a loss, because as soon as one guy like publicly like says like these guys fucked us, like it's, you know, we had a dispute, whatnot, you're done. Like you're just fucking done in this space. Like this space is so small. And I think like I look at it like it starts with mining. Like mining is sort of the start of the distribution point of the coin. So you have to, I have a theory that like if you can just build an insanely reputable business in mining, you don't have to have any legal contracts. You just like your word is going to just carry you and let you you could sell ASICs at a premium just on your word, because you know your customer knows that if they buy off you, nothing is going to go wrong. And that's not something you normally see in like the fiat world. Everyone's like buying insurance and shit. You can't even get insurance in this fucking industry, like in Bitcoin mining. You can't even get it. I could talk about that for a while. Like they're censoring Bitcoin miners to a big degree, and it's affecting our business.
Shinobi's got a pushback. Steve, I can feel it.
Real quick, one complaint doesn't burn shit. I'm sorry. Do we not remember Cobra in 2017 shrieking how long mining is a scam for like 6 months?
I do remember that.
What's this? Why is 10% of the entire network using overt ASIC boost, which only How Long hardware supports? What is that again?
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, guys, I have to start wrapping this because I have
just leave. We don't care.
Yeah,
Can I give a 30-second point to Steve's?
I'm having a lot of fun. Why are you controlling this conversation? Just leave. You could actually just go do what you want and leave your screen empty.
I can imagine.
Why do you have to be here?
I would come back.
You want to go have fun with your wife and like your kids and stuff? I'm having a
I'd,
good time.
I'd come back. Tim would still be here.
Tim is still going to be here. As long as Shinobi and Brandon want to hang out, go do your thing.
Let's toss it to Brandon. What does he have to say here?
This is the best podcast I've ever been on. Okay?
Quick
end
point
this.
for Steve here. What you're describing is you're seeing the world through a Bitcoin lens. You have long-term thinking, reputation matters. You're living in the future. Okay.
I feel like I'm living in like 2077, where it's all like just this guy. Like this guy's got a name. This company's got a name. It's 2077. It's not 2021.
Agreed. And most people are living in the present or the past, which is short-termism, right? And incentives lead them there. This is planned obsolescence, just-in-time economy. Get a new job every 6 months. Doesn't fucking matter.
Just-in-time manufacturing. I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, and we literally build things so that they break really soon, so that we can sell them another one, right? Yeah. Everyone's steeped in fiat, and so I think that's the major difference here. It's just, and I think the number one thing is long-term thinking versus short-term thinking. And then also Bitcoin community puts a premium on reputation.
I am hitting the Stampede. Who is that? Bring that.
There's a dude from Edmonton that was I just saw him at a Bitcoin meetup the other day. Anyways, he's asking for hitting Calgary Stampede, which started today. I'm not sure.
Benny, are there Calgary Bitcoin meetups? Like I know
there are. There are. There's one every 2 weeks. I'll put you. I'll let you know.
Why am I not there?
I don't know what the fuck are you doing with your life, man.
You guys are in these weird social circles. You won't invite your boys.
I don't know, man. I thought you were busy
because I came from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I thought you were showering or something. I thought you were busy.
You guys fuck with the sheepdogs from
Towers Comics. Let's go out. I'm taking you out for some beers.
Perfect. We'll do it, guys. I gotta wrap this up because I have a friend's birthday. Me,
Timmy, Shinobi, and Brandon don't care.
Hit him
your
again,
viewers
Steve.
don't care. You're here all night. Go do your thing, man. Just leave your monitor on.
I'll just leave it.
I'm shit for a while.
I'm sure my family, my daughter will come in and start playing with all the stuff here. Yeah.
I'm just
gentlemen, I've got to say it's a pleasure. I'm relieved that Tim is getting an excellent nap here. I can't wait for him to rewatch and re-listen to this conversation because it was excellent.
Yelled at. He's gonna get his wife's gonna come in and like crack him in the head.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna say to everybody, there's a bunch of people watching now. What I would like you guys to do is everybody. Tim's Twitter is in the notes. I want you all to go follow him, and then I want you to regale him with your tales of times when you've had a bunch to drink that you didn't anticipate the outcome.
I'm literally about to get there if you keep going.
Yeah, and that's that's great. That's wonderful. And that's partially what I'm also going to be partaking in because it's been a long time since I've been out with some some friends. Other than Miami was a bit of a mess, but I just wanted to say to all you guys, I really appreciate you guys taking it. We've 2.5 hours. Normally these things are like hour and 15 minutes, but we got chatting and it was a lot of fun. And I appreciate all of your time. So everybody watching, of course, all these guys, their Twitter handles are in the
I keep looking at Timmy's fucking window and I'm like,
I know he's gonna wake up and be like, "What happened? Did it end when I would? Did I say goodbye?"
Like a thing in my head where it's like the light just keeps getting dimmer and dimmer in the shadows, and then his wife just comes up and cracks him in the back of the head.
I know it's gonna happen.
He was gonna make it till 9 o'clock. It's only 5:30 Pacific right now. Just to be clear, where he is.
All right, Benny, you gotta invite us all back.
Indeed. We will do this again. Maybe we can one of these days when we're all in a similar locale. I mean, Steve, we could just do a live one ourselves, but from the same location. But yeah, guys, I appreciate all your time. I will speak for Tim in saying that he is a best-selling author. He does have a book on Amazon, though he advises you not to purchase it. And if you'd like to follow him, his Twitter handle is indeed in the show notes. So do follow him. Tell him you know what? I've seen in the comments here that Timmy really carried the show. And I'd like you to let him know that you really enjoyed his input, because I really did have fun in the beginning of the show with him. And I'm glad that he was at least here with us in spirit. But I will talk.
And they were good thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I really want to meet Timmy in real life.
Yeah, I think we'll do this in real life again, and we'll just we'll give him like half shots or something when we go out for a round. But I'm going to toss it down the line to the rest of you guys. If you can one more time, just let people know again who you are, where they can find you, and that's it. Shinobi, you can take it away first.
I'm a random autist who spent way too much time learning about Bitcoin. I do a small podcast with some friends called Block Digest, which I swear to God will get back on a normal schedule this weekend. And I don't know.
Awesome.
Timmy,
I love it. Oh yeah, there he is. Steve, you could go. You could sub in.
Shinobi, I can't wait to come on your podcast when you're ready to invite me.
Oh, dude, you stole the thought out of my head that was going to fly to you in a DM.
Let's go on there and get. I'll get another bottle of rye and we'll go wild. It's actually the funnest podcast I've been on, Benny. Like I don't usually drink on podcasts, so
maybe that's your problem.
Wet and loose, But my name's Steve. I love Bitcoin. Follow me on Twitter, SG Barbour. Love you guys.
Awesome. And BQ, take it away. What do you do? What do people can find you?
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me, guys. I had a night planned, sacrifice tonight. I'm happy I made that decision. It was great hanging with you guys. You can find me on Twitter, Quittem. And then lastly, if any of the Canadians need to escape out of their country, you can meet me in the Boundary Waters.
What state are you in? I won't ask you anything more. That's a beautiful state. I'm coming.
Northern Minnesota is amazing. Boundary Waters. Woo! Same as Quetico in Ontario. Fantastic land there.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're coming to Minnesota, Steve?
I'm coming to meet you.
Let's do it.
We'll do it. We'll all do it. Awesome. Well, gents, thank you very much. I'm going to cut your audio video here, but I appreciate you all, and thank you for being on. And I will see you soon. Steve, let's grab a beer. Let's maybe hit a Stampede beer.
I'm walking over your house right now, bro.
Perfect.
10 minutes away.
All right. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much. And everybody that is watching, I thank you guys for being here. 2.5 hours. If you got here at the beginning and stayed through, you made it longer than Tim, and we love him for it. So you should go and follow Tim immediately on Twitter. You should follow all the guests on Twitter, but you should especially follow Tim and give him some kind words. Tell him how much you love him, how much you enjoyed his enthusiasm, because he's a trooper. And I've been in that boat before, where you get excited, you have a drink, and then shit happens. So I enjoyed it. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, like, sub, share, all of those things are so important. They really help get more eyeballs on the show. If you want to hit up the previously mentioned sponsors, they are linked down below: Bitbuy, LEDN, Keystone, Bitrefill, and BillFodl over at Privacy Pros. And if you really loved what you saw, you can always hit me up with a Bitcoin tip via my Strike page. That is strike.me/BTC sessions. You can go over there. You can type in whatever amount you like. And then when you hit the tip button, it will provide you with either a Lightning invoice or a regular Bitcoin QR code, which you can shoot off. By the way, if you haven't tried Strike, it's pretty badass. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here as always. And I will see you guys next time for your daily session. Have a good one.
Hodl the Bitcoin.